Cole, welcome to Ranks. We've got the board out especially for you. We've got a lot of different categories to get through. We're going to start with some of the most skillful players in the Premier League. You yourself are very, very skillful. So we've picked Mo Kudus, Phil Foden and Eberici Eze. Who do you think is the most skillful player? Who do you like to watch in terms of doing the skills?
Kudus is very good.
Very good.
Very, very good. Then you got Phil, again, very, very good.
Enzo, thank you so much for your time. Exciting game to look ahead to this weekend. But going back to Monday night against Wolves, how relieving was it to get that win?
Very important, especially after 5 games that we didn't win. So it was very important, and now we're gonna try to continue in that way. I think the performance was good in almost all the 5 games. Probably we could be a little bit more clinical, because in all the games we score, and in all the games we had many chances to score more goals. And at the end, when you miss, the game is always open. The result is always open, so anything can happen. And unfortunately, we didn't win the 5 games.
Up against Manchester City this weekend, a repeat of the opening day fixture against the Premier League champions. Just how pleased are you with what this side has achieved in the time that's come between that game and now?
Yeah, very happy, especially because I think we evolved a lot as a team in the last 6 months since we start. We live also different kind of experience that help us to improve. For instance, the 5 games that we didn't win probably help us to be better in the future. So this kind of moment, I think, at the end help the team to be better. And I said probably in terms of expectation, we are ahead of, as I said, ahead of my expectation in terms of the way we play, and also in terms of results.
So why do you think the side is ahead of your expectations? What has been the key to that?
The players. At the end, they are the most important thing, because we can have good idea, but at the end, if you don't have the player, you miss the most important thing. So for sure, we are ahead of my expectation in terms of the way we play on the ball, off the ball, in terms of results, but it's only because of the players.
And in terms of that evolution you speak about, evolving this team, what has most impressed you? What have you been most pleased about?
Probably the way we try to play on the ball and off the ball, that since we start, we changed 4 or 5 different structure on the ball and off the ball. And in so short period, it's so difficult, in 6 months, that they can understand the game better, they can understand different structure. So this is probably the one that I'm very happy.
Especially in the summer, there was so much noise around Chelsea in terms of who you'd be signing, who would be leaving the club. Has your biggest strength or your biggest challenge been shutting out that outside noise and just focusing on what is going on here at the training ground?
For sure, it's show the progress or show the improvement of the team, because at the end, at the beginning of the season, unfortunately, everyone was talking about us, about the big squad or these kind of things, and now everyone is talking about us just about football, and I think this show an improvement.
Was that a challenge for you, shutting out that outside noise?
No, because I didn't care a lot, in terms of I always just focus on the pitch, how we can improve as a team, how we can improve players, and this was my main focus.
January, once again, so much speculation around players coming in and players potentially departing. In your role as head coach, how involved are you in recruitment and those decisions?
We are all together in terms of with the club, with the sport director, with the club, with chairman. We have to be in the same line in terms of recruit player. Otherwise, something is not working well. So we are quite close. We pay attention if we need to do something, and no more than that.
Tell me about Robert Sanchez. How's he coped this week? Because there's been a lot of noise around some of his performances over the last few weeks.
Oh, he's okay. Robert is okay. But I said straight after Wolves game that any players can do mistake. It's just the way you embrace that. It's just the way you deal with that. And this week, Robert was okay. So we don't have any kind of problem with Robert.
Do you see there being an issue with the goalkeeping situation, or are you happy with Robert right now?
No, we are happy with Robert. I'm happy with Robert, absolutely. I said in some games he did some mistake, but in other games he also makes some good save. So overall, it's a matter of balance, and in this moment, we are happy with Robert.
Tell me about your relationship with Noni Madueke.
I consider Noni. The reason why I spoke many times about Noni is because I consider Noni a top player for us, and the only thing I want from top players is the best for them, and this is the reason why many times I mention Noni.
Do you see there being a huge way that he can go then, in terms of that's why you're speaking about him so much, because you know there's even more to come?
Yeah, absolutely. But also in terms of numbers, I think he scored already 6 goals in Premier League. He did many different assists. So in terms of numbers, he's doing fantastic. I think it's just his second Premier League season. So he's 22, it's very young. So he can only improve, but he needs to do the right things.
Up against Manchester City this weekend, a side you left as treble winners, this City side look like they're in a different place right now.
Yeah, but I think this kind of moment is normal for any club in the world. Probably because of the last 8-9 years, we don't consider normal for City this kind of moment. But because of the amount of trophy they won, I think it's part of our job, and it's a bad moment. But for sure they're gonna be back very soon.
And in terms of that treble-winning squad, what characteristics did that team have that you try to instill on the players in the squad you have here at Chelsea?
Yeah, especially the desire of win that kind of titles in that season. And then the player that they are always the main thing.
Do you see this side having some of those characteristics already?
I think we are in the right direction, but impossible to compare, us with the City, because I think we are quite far.
Do you see Cole Palmer carrying many of those factors that you want to see in this squad?
Yeah, Cole is one of the player. For sure, as a player and as a team, we are going in the right direction, and this is the most important thing.
And speaking about going in the right direction, consistently you've said Chelsea aren't in the title race this season. In terms of that journey that you're going on, do you think that next season you could put in a real title challenge?
I don't know. The plan with the club was the schedule, that you try to do at the beginning of the season, or when you meet the club for the first time. The schedule was second season, go for top 4, and then after the second season, try to compete for a title. So this is also the reason why I said many times that we are ahead of my expectation, because we spent almost all season in top 4 in the first season, and this show how ahead we are in terms of expectation. Then next year or in 2 years, I don't know, I just try to be focused on this season.
And for you, ending this season in the top 4, would that mark a success?
Absolutely, yes, more than success, yeah.
Welcome back to Saturday Social, where we are joined by Rory and Booby, who are agreeing on absolutely everything this show. Yeah,
When did that happen?
Exactly. Time to turn our attention the January transfer window. A lot of rumours, some interesting rumours. A lot involving your club as well, Joe. Bubbling. So let's get into it.
Who's surprised? Absolutely nobody. Yeah, we've got loads of January transfer rumours. We've got the classic tier list out. We're going to go through rumour by rumour. Put them on from A being the best, E being the worst. We'll try and get one at least in each tier. Let's start with Douglas Luiz, shall we? Because he's been linked with a couple of clubs.
So you're ranking how good do you think the rumour is?
I don't think he doesn't come to Chelsea. I don't think he comes to Chelsea. I rate him. I'd quite like him. I think he would elevate our midfield options. But I just don't think that there's any... If you think about the profile of player that Chelsea like to sign, sadly, I don't think Douglas Luiz is going to be part of that. For Man City, however, I feel like it makes a lot of sense. What do you think?
For me, he's an offensive midfielder. I think City need a pure defensive midfielder that wants to be ugly, a bit like a Caicedo or a Lavia. I just don't think it works.
He played very deep for Aston Villa, didn't he? He was basically shielding in the back 4 times for Aston Villa, and he was really successful in that Villa side.
Absolutely.
It reminds me a little bit of Ilkay Gundogan playing in the deep line position. I think it's very similar in that regard. He wants to look forward, he wants to carry the ball, he wants to score goals. He's fantastic, by the way. Obviously, came from City as well previously, but for me, I think City need a real rugged, young, defensive-minded midfielder.
He's still only 26 years
I was
old.
going to say the age profile was only 26 still.
Yeah, I mean, sadly, that isn't Chelsea's profile. The 26 would see him out. Yeah, it's not what we do. Like, wrongly, in my opinion. I think we're really missing that. Somebody that takes the game by the scruff of the neck, somebody with the experience. So I don't think that this will happen for Chelsea. But I could well be wrong here, but I can see it working for Man City.
So let's take them individually. Let's Louise to Manchester City. Where would you rank that move if it were to happen?
B. Okay.
B.
So you're ranking it. If that was to happen, that would be a B transfer for Manchester City.
Raw?
I just don't think it happens to Chelsea.
If it did, how would
if it did, it would be great. Oh, if we were to get him, a B, absolutely.
B?
I just don't think it's in our world. Everything that we've learned about Chelsea under this new ownership and these new sporting directors, we're not going to go and sign a 26-year-old player.
Yeah, I think especially with some of the players you got out on loan, Andre Santos performed so well.
Exactly.
You know, would they consider bringing him back before they go for a Douglas Luiz? So do you want to put him in C? You going B?
Yeah, maybe a C.
Let's do C.
Maybe a C.
Okay, yeah, 17 appearances, 12 in Serie A of those 17
many
Juventus,
starts in there.
but importantly, restricted to only 4 starts, 3 in Serie A due to injury. Obviously joined Juventus from Villa for 43.25 million, heavily linked with both, but you're ranking them, if they were to sign for your respective clubs, you've gone B for City and C for Chelsea. Let's move on to our next player then. Big one this.
Wow.
Garnacho linked with both Napoli and Chelsea. So should we do Napoli move first?
Yeah, I like the Napoli one. I think, Garnacho is playing for a club that isn't going to win the title in the next 5 years. An absolute shambles of a football club. Going to Napoli, getting managed by a world-class manager, great fan base. They're going to win the league title potentially this season in Italy. Why not?
There's history there as well, to amplify what Bouvie said. I think for an Argentinian playing for Napoli, in the spirit of Maradona, it's always got to echo, hasn't it? So I feel like there is an allure for Garnacho to go to Napoli, and it would be an excellent move for him. I just think it's got Chelsea written all over it.
Do you?
Yeah, I really do.
Do you think it will happen in January, Garnacho from Man United to Chelsea?
I do think it will happen, yes. I believe that Garnacho will be a Chelsea player coming in.
Would you be happy with that?
More wingers, I don't get it. Why do Chelsea need more wingers?
It's not necessarily about need, it's about stockpiling, and if a player like Alejandro Garnacho comes available, I believe that Garnacho is an excellent player. How excellent, I don't know. There's obviously a lot of jeopardy because young, mercurial players, you never quite know how it's going to go. But I believe that there is a chance that one day Alejandro Garnacho is good enough to be running the wing for Real Madrid. I also think that there is a world where he could end up running the wing for Iber. But I do believe that he is an excellent player, and what Chelsea will want to buy is the potential.
I would be really devastated.
Yeah, I was going to ask as a United fan's perspective on that. What would the perception be as a United fan if he was to leave for either club?
We'd much rather lose him to Napoli, because you don't want to lose him to a Premier League rival, obviously. But I think, we saw the letter that came out from Manchester United higher-ups this week talking about the difficulties with the financial position, and I think that reality is starting to strike home now, isn't it? And Alejandro Garnacho is one of our few sellable assets, despite the fact he is 20 years old, one of the most productive young wingers in world football. It would be devastating to lose him from a Manchester United fan's perspective, from a club financial perspective, and the way modern football is.
It would be a terrible statement for Manchester United. He is one of the shining stars at the club. Look at that goal he scored. He won a Puskas Award.
The Everton goal,
He clearly has. He clearly has an abundance of talent. If that can be nurtured and channeled, we've seen it before with starlets. But if it works, he goes on to have a glittering
What's
career.
the better move for him, though? What is the better move?
Napoli, they're going to be in the Champions League next season, unlike Manchester United. He's going to potentially win a league title, get managed by a serious manager, not Ruben Amorim, but Conte. Serious move.
I agree with that. For Garnacho, I think the allure of Napoli would be huge, but I believe he will end up at Chelsea.
Okay, so let's get ranking.
Have to do A for Napoli.
So ranking if they're happy. A for Napoli. Okay.
I mean, we have
Chelsea.
a lot of players in that position, so it's not a position in the team that we desperately need to fill. So it doesn't amplify and elevate us hugely. But if a player like this becomes available, I feel like you have to take the punt.
Where are you putting that, Chelsea fan?
B.
Okay.
B. Speaking of Chelsea, Rory, next one. We're going to go Nkunku, link the other way, Chelsea to Manchester United. Got to come to Rory first on this. What would your thoughts be if that does happen as a Chelsea fan this month?
I think he's a very good player, Smithy. I think he's a really good footballer. I think Manchester United, if they were to get him, would be getting a top-class player. It hasn't worked at Chelsea, but I think you could easily say that Christopher Nkunku is the best finisher at the club. Maybe Cole Palmer, but if not Cole Palmer, Christopher Nkunku has the best eye for a goal at Chelsea. And it's a shame that it hasn't worked, because I really like him. I was so excited when we signed him. I remember he was left out injured of the French squad ahead of the World Cup. And I was gutted because I was really looking forward to seeing him play. I think he's got all the talent, and at the right club, playing for Amorim, I think if you wanted to talk about systems, I feel like he's very suited to the Amorim system.
Doesn't quite fit your system at the moment, does he? And I think system-wise, that is becoming more of a thing in modern football, isn't it? Players have to.
What's the Amorim system? Losing all these big games. And
well, I think he needs a player to score goals, doesn't he? He needs a goal scorer.
What is this Amorim system? He has to win games first and foremost. And I'm not sure, with all due respect, I think Nkunku's fantastic.
Would he help him win games?
The last thing you need is another forward who's a little bit injury prone, a little bit lightweight, fantastic finisher. What Rory says, spot on. The last thing Man United, I'm just saying this as a neutral, I couldn't care less if he works at Man United or not. You don't need Nkunku right now. No way.
As a Chelsea fan, would you take, if Garnacho came to Chelsea but Nkunku went to Man United, would you take that? Would you rather
to be honest, I wouldn't. No, because I think Nkunku strengthens Manchester United more than Alejandro Garnacho strengthens Chelsea.
Ooh.
Okay, so where are we rating him?
Well, I don't
in the
think,
short term, you might be right. Yeah.
Alejandro Garnacho, if you think about the players that we have, if you think about the one position that we do not need to strengthen, it's the position that Alejandro Garnacho plays.
Is, as you said, world class.
His ceiling is that.
And Nkunku comes to Man United, he gets injured in the first game, and Man United are back to losing ways.
Nkunku immediately elevates their goal scoring. Like Rasmus Højlund is not good enough to play for Manchester United. There are question marks over Joshua Zirkzee. Christopher Nkunku immediately elevates the goal-scoring potential of Manchester United.
If he stays fit.
Okay, need a decision.
I have to go D with it. That's just my opinion. It's a bad sign in my opinion.
I think from Manchester United's perspective, I think this is a good signing. I'd go B, but maybe we meet at C.
in the middle.
Meet at C. Okay.
Okay, let's go to the next one. We've got Marcus Rashford back in the news. Still a couple of moves bubbling away. I think you've got two magnets to pick up, Booth. Yep. One linked to Barcelona that persists, and sort of a slightly more tenuous link now to Borussia Dortmund.
This is fantastic for both clubs. I think both clubs need a bench player. Someone's going to come off for 5 minutes. They've got
what are you talking about?
No, someone like Yamal, Rafinha at Barcelona doing exceptionally well. Rashford's not going to start for Barcelona, but they need depth from the bench. I think Rashford would provide that 5 minutes at a time, Royce.
On some level, I think Boothie is talking sense here in a very facetious
way. Don't think Rashford starts for Dortment, who just sacked their manager and struggling for goals?
I think the Dortmund one makes more sense, but I do think that Rashford would struggle to get in the Barcelona team at the moment.
I can understand that with the system they play, particularly with Rafinha and Yamal.
You have to work hard at Barcelona. You have to track down. You have to run after the ball at Barcelona.
Can I ask you something, Joe? Like trying to drill down into it. No, but I'm genuinely, because obviously, you're a Manchester United fan, you watch him all the time. How good is Marcus Rashford?
He's really good.
Is he?
Yeah,
and how long ago was it that you came to that conclusion?
I think it's easy to say that about a lot of Manchester United players.
Right.
Honestly, I think Manchester United can rub off on players the wrong way. I still think Marcus Rashford is an amazing talent. And at the right club, I think he will score so many goals.
Do you think he'd score a lot of goals for Barcelona?
Absolutely. Yeah, I think he would. I don't necessarily think he would be the first name on the team sheet there, but let's not pretend Rafinha can't play in that 10 role. We've seen him do it plenty of times this season when Pedri hasn't been fit or available. He's played slightly more central. I think Rashford would have huge impact, particularly in a Champions League push where, this season, let's not forget that Barcelona are faltering at the moment domestically as well. It's not like they are flying at the moment, is it?
But it's a big club. Is it a big club right now? It's like for like. Barcelona and Man United arguably very similar in terms of the stature of the club. It's more pressure to go to a foreign country.
They're far more dominating than United are. Domestically, they're a much better team than United are.
He doesn't work hard for his boyhood club. He doesn't work hard enough. He clearly doesn't. I know he's got talent, but going to Barcelona, I just think it's going to be the similar problem. I think he needs
such a long time since. It's been such a long time since.
Do you not think there's a perception that a change of scenery going to a new club, looking at what he's done, looking at we spoke about his goals to game ratio a few seasons back. There's clearly a quality player in there that a change of scenery being at a new club would actually suit him. And the way that, the amount that, as you were saying, Barcelona dominate the ball, the amount of chances he would get. Do you not still think there is a quality player in there?
It just feels like such a long time since we've seen it. That's my issue. Look, I remember how good he was. I remember him being top goal scorer for England at a World Cup. I remember wanting him to find that form, but it just feels like it's been so long ago now. And ultimately, I feel like a Dortmund move might be better because the expectation level will be different.
Okay, let's rank them both. Where are you putting them? If they were to happen.
Well, they're both A for me because both sides need bench players. So it is.
Now, be serious now. Where would you? I know you're winding us up. Where would you actually rank this move?
I don't think Barcelona need him massively.
Yeah.
Well, do one at a time then.
Dortmund A, Barcelona B.
Okay.
I agree with that.
Okay, there you go.
Okay. Next up,
more Man United, Joe.
Yeah, don't stop, does it? Patrick Dorgu. Now, obviously, a little bit of an unknown quantity because he's only 20 years old, playing for Lecce. You know, as a wing back though, how much do United need that role?
This is it. It's the position, isn't it? It's Manchester United desperately need reinforcements in that position. I don't particularly rate Dalot. I never have. This isn't sort of a modern thing. I just don't think he's quite as good as Manchester United fans seem to think he is. And I do feel like just a change in that position, what you're never going to be able to do until you sign the right players for Amorim. It isn't about how good is Amorim. There are no amount of tactical tweaks or personnel tweaks that can make certain players in that United squad good enough to play for them. You have to buy him the right talent to play his system, and this is part of that manoeuvre.
Where would you put Dorgu? Booth?
Good age profile, but it's unproven, so maybe a C, just neutral.
Okay.
Let's move on to the next one. This is a big story this week, wasn't it? John Duran, Aston Villa to West Ham, linked with the 21-year-old, of course. Now, rumoured to be around the £57 million mark, rejected, but there's a lot of interest in John Duran, not from West Ham for the first time.
Because he's class.
What do you make of this one? Yeah.
He's so good. He's so good. And ultimately, I think that whoever gets him is really going to effectively win a lottery. Because, you know, West Ham tried to sign they did sign Fulkrug. That hasn't gone their way. They need somebody that can put the ball in the back of the net. And I think there's a conversation about how good he's top drawer in my.
You say how good he is. There's a pretty good club as well linked with him in well, you can't get much better than Real Madrid in terms of European pedigree, can you? So let's look at that magnet as well. We can do them together. But
well, if Duran went to West Ham, it'd be the equivalent of them getting Mascherano and Tevez. I mean, way out of their league. With all due respect to West Ham, they deserve to have a great striker like they've had for many, many years. But he's a world-class striker in waiting. Seriously, he could be top 3, top 4 in world.
He's good enough to play for Madrid?
He's not. Oh yeah, as obviously coming off the bench for now at his age, 21 years old. But he's he's better than West Ham, with all due respect.
It's bizarre though, isn't it? With Endrick as an option, that's young there as well, and back. I know what you mean. I'm not gonna lie.
12 goals in 28 appearances. That's Villa's top scorer in all comps this season. You're surprised he's not had more?
But also, it's the quality of goals. Like you look at you saw that goal that he scored against Bayern Munich. You know, the whole end was rocking like it's 1982 all over again. Like it was a proper historic goal for Aston Villa. It was a wonderful finish, but he is capable of those big moments. And sometimes Real Madrid like that. Like, do you remember when they signed Adebayor, for example? It was because Adebayor was capable of those big moments, big goals. That volley he scored in the North London derby and things. Like he was capable of that. And I think that Duran, I'm inclined to agree with Boovy that for him, the West Ham move might feel slightly underwhelming when he's linked with Real Madrid.
Okay, we've got two magnets, so where'd you put Duran?
Duran to Real Madrid, I think, would be an A for Real Madrid. And I think it'd be an A plus for West Ham, wouldn't it? It'd be an A for both clubs, I think.
Okay.
It would be an A for both clubs.
There we go.
Okay. Next up, we've got a couple of Forest rumours coming up, but we want to start, don't we, with Johan Visser.
Interesting one.
Why don't we do the both Forest rumours at the same time?
Yeah, go on.
Forest are making statements, aren't they?
Yeah.
I feel like with their transfer strategy, the way that they're approaching things at the moment, particularly that Cunha bid, it was almost an acknowledgement. Look, they definitely want the player, but I think they also want the world to know that they are serious.
I know what you mean, actually, because there's both of those players are two of the most heavily linked players in the Premier League that a whole host of clubs. I mean, we've even got Cunha to Arsenal magnet linked.
Exactly.
So teams with a higher profile than Forest linked them. So I think it goes to show exactly what you're saying, that they mean business.
Sometimes
and if they land one of them, then that's two outrageously good
I know
players.
it didn't necessarily go as they hoped, but I remember Aston Villa making a real statement. Do you remember when they signed Emi Buendia instead of Arsenal? And it was a little bit of a statement. I think that's what Forest are doing here, like making the statement when everybody felt like Cunha was the answer to Arsenal's problems or whoever else. The fact that they've gone out and said, actually, we're in the Champions League spots here. We have no intention of relinquishing our spot. We're going to make
going again next season. And the Morello contract, one of the best centre-backs in European football this season. He's been exceptional. That long-term deal, I mean, Forest don't think they're going to just luck out a Champions League spot. They think they could do it for the next 3 or 4 years.
How much is Cunha going to cost, though? Because, I mean, he's been directly involved in 40% of Wolves' goals. If he leaves Wolves, does that not just condemn them to relegation, potentially, or at least harm them to a level that is worth more than 60, 70 million pounds to them?
The trouble is, look, they will be desperate to keep hold of him. The problem that they have is, if he doesn't want to be there, if he's a distraction in the dressing room, they may consider their options and think it's a good time to cash in.
Okay. It's been asked a lot, hasn't it, in press conferences. Pereira's been asked about Cunha many times. He doesn't want to lose him, but obviously we know that Wolves have sold assets in the past. I think you make a good point that it would be a huge blow to their relegation survival hopes if he was to leave. 10 goals, 4 assists in 22 appearances, but heavily linked with Forest. So let's see where you rank both of
It's
them.
an A for both. I just love what Forest are doing in the transfer business.
I think Cunha would be a bigger acquisition than Visser.
A better signing than Visser for you.
Yeah, in my opinion.
So he's an A.
I think Cunha is an A, and Visser is slightly below that, maybe a B.
Yeah,
Okay. And we've also got Cunha to Arsenal as well.
Yeah.
Let's do that whilst.
I think that would be excellent for Arsenal. I think
they need
if you think about their front line, look, I rated Trossard so highly, but he hasn't had a great season. He's one of the, in terms of how I expected him to perform this season, he's really diminished from that. So they need somebody to elevate. With Saka out, their front line looks a little bit underwhelming and predictable. You throw Cunha in that and it totally changes everything.
Even the midfield, when Saka's back, you could have Cunha, Odegaard and Rice in that midfield when you're playing sides in the bottom half of the Premier League, in the Champions League, early rounds of the FA Cup, League Cup. You can have him in midfield as well. They need someone alongside Odegaard, let alone the front three.
Let's do the Arsenal together then, because you've got Sesko next, which is, I'm guessing, is that more of a...
But that's the jewel in the crown. That's what they need.
That's what they need more than Cunha
you know
for
what
you.
They need more than anything. They need the old-fashioned bully. That's it. You know the way Diego Costa would drag Chelsea to victory, or Didier Drogba would drag us to victory. Arsenal, they're a very nice side. They're a beautiful team. They're a very talented side. But I don't think they have enough of an edge, and I think Sesko would bring that for them.
Okay, where'd you stick them both, Booth?
I would go A for both. They're in desperate need of both of them, in my opinion.
Wow.
Okay, let's stick him out. Roy might have to help him out here a little bit. Next one then, bit of a left field shout here, but RB Leipzig reportedly having a €30 million bid rejected by Southampton for Tyler Dibbling, who won over £55 million.
Any young English talent in Germany is an A for me. I think they're always going to thrive.
Hasn't always worked at Leipzig though. I mean, you think of some of the players that have gone there. Smith Rowe hasn't worked there. Fabio Carvalho hasn't worked there.
So when you think about the clubs that Tyler Dibbling's been linked with in the Premier League, I'm not sure this is the move.
Spurs linked with him as well.
Yeah, I'm not sure this is the move. This could be one that I rate quite low. In fact.
Okay.
Yeah, C maybe.
This is our last one.
D even for me. I just don't think that that's the move that will happen. I don't think it'd be a particularly good move for Dibbling. I feel if you have the opportunity of playing for, say, Tottenham in the Premier League, linking up with that young, exciting Tottenham to players like Bergvall and that, I'm not sure that Leipzig is
Good point, Rory. Well made. If you have the opportunity to go to Tottenham, you take it. I totally agree with that. There we go. There is confirmation of how you rank the January transfer rumours. Quite a few in A.
Nothing in E. We said we were going to have something in E. What's happened there? You bottled it.
There we go.
Boothie just kept saying A.
Yeah, here we go. Well, let's not,
Yet another winger.
let's not you think at home anyway.
3 important points for them, takes them up to 22nd, not guaranteed a place in the knockout stages, but very much looking better than they did, of course, when they were 2-0 down. For Manchester City, they take on Club Brugge on the final match day, which is next Wednesday. If they win that, they're through. If they don't, they are out. Right then, here we go, Craig, another Manchester City blow up in the second half.
There's not a team in that table that couldn't beat City at the moment. It's that simple. They're an embarrassment. They've become an embarrassment as a shape. They can't defend. They lost 4 in the second half. They're 2-0 up again. Again in the leading possession, comfortable possession. They lose 4. Could have lost, 6?
Yeah, and that's not an exaggeration.
Could have lost 6 in the second half. So they can't defend, but what's noticeable as well, they cannot close anybody down in the middle of the park. Every team, you saw that possession, 37% Man City. When did we see that? You know, we might see a 50-50, 52-48, 37%. All right, PSG do possess the ball, but it's poor, very poor.
It's the 9th time this season they've lost from a winning position. It's an incredible statistic for a team that is so full of experience and so accomplished.
It's an incredible statistic for any team. Never mind the team that we have come to recognize and admire and watch and analyze and said, look how much they're able to control the game. Over the years, that has been their strength. Their ability to control games through the quality of their possession and the quality of the possession that they can have through the midfield, the quality of possession that they can have into the attacking half. And so that's why, even when they were struggling defensively in years past, we were willing to overlook all of that because, look, they're not losing the ball. They're attacking. They are mandating how the game is going to be played because of their own quality. That quality comes with confidence. Well, that confidence is gone. The quality is gone. The possession is gone. Never, ever would you think, to your point, that Manchester City would be in a 37%. How is that important for Manchester City? Because sometimes possession numbers you can make over what you will. But for Manchester City, it's critical because that means they're not in control of the game. And if they're not in control of the game, that means that they're defending in transition. And if they're defending in transition, let me just tell you, anybody can run around Manchester City. And then there's attention to details, which they do not have. If you're not a good team defensively, if you cannot close down the space, at the very least, get yourself in a structure in which you can get numbers behind the ball. Even when they have numbers behind the ball, you can still find spaces because they won't tackle. They won't tackle, they will not win challenges, they will not win in 50-50 balls, they will not win in set pieces. It's not a surprise anymore. This is who they are, and it's truly, truly concerning. And in fact, surprising. Even as we've been seeing it. We've been seeing it, right?
Yeah.
So it shouldn't be surprising. And yet you see it again, you go, no, and it continues to happen.
They're scared to press the ball now.
Yeah.
They're scared to press it, and they probably can't press it as well as they once were able to do because of the lack of legs, but they're scared to. Because if they go on that full court press, they get playing around so easy. So they've sort of changed the way they go about it by dropping back an extra 20 yards.
Right.
They should have been, or they used to go to Parc des Princes against PSG, and they would be squeezed right up to the PSG penalty box. The defenders would be on the halfway line, and they would say to PSG, go on, try your luck, play out, try and play through us. They don't do that now. They just allow teams, I have to say, easy possession of the ball. I know PSG have got some good passers in there. João Neves, Vitinha, blah, blah, blah. But they're allowed easy possession of the ball. And that's why it was surprising in the first half that PSG didn't go for the jugular a bit more, particularly down the left side.
What does this tell us about Pep Guardiola? Because if we can all see it happening, why isn't he addressing it?
Yeah, and so to the point that Craig is making in terms of the fact that they're not able to press the way that they once did. So as a manager, there's got to be a recognition. We're seeing it, right? We're seeing it and we're thousands and thousands of miles away. And we continue to see it happen, and yet there's been zero adjustment. So look, if you cannot go press it, then don't go press.
Right.
Don't. Why do something that you're not capable of doing? So then sit a little deeper. Yeah, give the ball to PSG, but sit a little deeper so that you have control of the game, so that at the very least you have things in front of you. But right now, what they're trying to do is be the team that they once were without being that team any longer. And they're in between. They're neither pressing nor sitting back. And when you're in between, you're nowhere. That's why you have the easy possession that Craig is talking about. Why can you play through a team that easily? Because they're not close enough to press you and win the ball back, but they're not far enough here to where they're closing down spaces and condensing the space. And so basically, you're in between. I can squeeze the ball past you. One pass eliminates three guys. We're gone. And now transition. And in transition, we know, even at their base, they struggle. Right now, they're obviously struggling. So what does it tell us about Pep Guardiola? He obviously recognizes this. He has to recognize this, but chooses not to adjust to it. Chooses to believe in what he does and his players have done and will not change. If he were going to change, if that was going to happen, it would have happened 2 months ago. That's when he needed to change. Now he's just saying, this is who we are, we're all in with what we're doing, and I don't care. This is the way we're going to play. And that is foolish.
This era's over, isn't it? It didn't take this game to find out.
No, and there was a false dawn being
the era of De Bruyne, Bernardo Silva,
by the way, today.
Gundogan, who's gone back there, a poorer player, an older player. The days of them bossing these really big games on a weekly basis are over. Kevin De Bruyne he can still whip a cross in, can still see a pass, maybe play a pass, but he's not getting around the field like he was. We're not seeing Bernardo Silva getting on the ball and jinking around and picking a pass or even scoring a goal and getting into the back post. It's Walker's on his way to Italy. You know, all these things. There's still good players there.
But Foden falling over at the edge of the box.
You know, Jack Grealish, he's come in, he's got himself a goal, but he's been off form. Phil Foden's been off form, blah, blah, blah. The list goes on. They still have some good players, but the guys that have really carried this juggernaut for 5 or 6 years in the current crop, they're all at the end of their lifespan in terms of playing at this level, and certainly playing in the Premier League. We've seen it in the Premier League, going for the title. Yeah, they'll wallop, you know, the Ipswiches and Southamptons and blah, 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 but against a, what would we say, average PSG side?
Yes.
They could have got battered tonight.
Yeah, an average PSG side who needed this today, obviously, as we spoke before, and they're 2-0 down. You've got to give them credit for the character they show.
Well, yes. It would have been very easy if you're PSG, and I imagine that stadium got a little nervy and the anxiety, and you can feel it as a player. And yet what we saw from PSG is we're going to keep going forward. We're going to show some character. We're going to show some personality. We're going to show a plan. This is how we're going to go about it. And when we have isolation with Barcola on one side and Dembele on the other side, we know that we can exploit the outside back from Manchester City. And we can get after those players. And we can take advantage of those 1v1 situations. And we're going to force Manchester City to defend, because just like we know, they know that Manchester City simply cannot defend. And you have to give credit to Luis Enrique in that he recognized where the mismatches were and said, you know what? Dembele, come out here. I don't know why he wasn't starting to begin with, right? But when he came on the field, when he came on the field and started running by people, it's like they weren't even there. And you mentioned Bernardo Silva, the one in which he hits the crossbar, he goes through the legs of Bernardo Silva. Barcola, how does the first goal come about? Well, it's because Barcola is able to get around Mateus Nunes, who I don't know why he's playing right back. I guess there are no other options, but my goodness, there's got to be a better option than Mateus Nunes playing right back if you're Manchester City. Regardless, if you're PSG, you know where the weak points are for Manchester City. And they went after those weak points and exposed them time and time again.
Yeah, and they did good. They did great. In the last 20 minutes, PSG, there was only one team in it. Are you okay?
You all right? Don't get emotional.
I got me cough back. Yeah, I mean, it was... And they mentioned it on commentary. From the second goal going in, the Haaland goal, it was just wave after wave after wave of PSG attack. And they finally realised that you can, if you go at this City side, there'll be lots of chances. And there was. Yeah. And they were so open. But I think the free kick that City lost, I think, summed them up.
That's the third goal.
The João Neves, set piece, the header. It just told you all you needed to know about this current City state of mind. Disarray. How can you leave a guy, whether he's 5'8", 5'9", or 6'2", doesn't matter. How can you leave him with 10 yards of space around the back post? It smells of lacking responsibility. But that's no big surprise. And we talked about it yesterday. We felt if PSG had the nous to get at this City side, they could win.
Yeah.
Because as I said at the top of the show, maybe the bottom 3 or 4 in that table, maybe not them, maybe bottom half dozen. But I do mean it, that most others could beat City.
Will they beat Club Brugge?
No guarantee. Absolutely. Club Brugge are above them. All right, and albeit.
Drew against Juventus yesterday.
And so they'll go to the Etihad and they'll say they'll absolutely fancy their chances of creating chances. Now, City could wallop them, of course, on a given day. Haaland gets a hat-trick or whatever. But you're not frightened as Club Brugge, are you?
No.
You know, you're not frightened to go there and say, tell you what, we could knock this, shove this City side out of the Champions League. So now, if you said to me now, are City favourites in that game, I'd probably give them an edge. But it wouldn't be a surprise to me if Club Brugge were to win. And I kind of think that's where Man City is. And
even if they do win it, you think, well, where do they go next?
They're going to get, well, in their current, the way they're playing at the moment, their shape, they are ripe for a walloping off one of the form sides in this competition. And that's where they are. So they probably will get through, they may get through, but they haven't got a hope in hell currently of winning this competition. Not a snowball's chance.
You just mentioned frightened, and we're talking about it from the perspective of Club Brugge. How about Manchester City?
Yeah.
Are they frightened?
In front of the home fans, nervous.
Anxiety. And we've already seen in that stadium this season how it gets uncomfortable for the fans and for the players. You sense that negative energy. You sense that negative energy that is coming from the field and that negative energy that is coming from the crowd. And that stadium has gotten afraid. And these players, now you have to say, the way that they reacted today in being up 2-0, afraid. Which is, it's difficult to say about Manchester City, but we have to come to terms with it. Today, when it came down to it, and it was an opportunity to gain control of the game, to actually show a personality, they got real small and real tight and real afraid. And that is a characteristic of a team that doesn't know how to get themselves out of trouble. That winning against Ipswich was just like, a chance to breathe, but nothing else, nothing more. There is no real substance right now to Manchester City, and it is obvious to see. So when we talk about fear, there's a lot to gain for Club Brugge and a whole lot more to lose for Manchester City.
Didn't he say they were back after the City game?
Yes.
Which is a bit of a statement, isn't it?
After the Ipswich game.
After the Ipswich game,
Yes,
sorry. We're back. We're back, and we were like, well, hold on.
Yeah.
We got a better gauge.
Let's see, and it's a really rough run of fixtures they've got now, not only, of course, Club Brugge, but also in the Premier League as well. For a lot more reaction, Happy Jules, I imagine, makes a change when it comes to PSG on the latest edition of the Gavin Jules podcast. Nice results back-to-back for Real Madrid in the Champions League and La Liga. Alex Kirkland was keeping an eye on this one for us, Alex. An opposition which isn't going to offer the same quality, which kind of then adds to the discussion as to whether or not you can read in too much into this. But in the end, Real Madrid get the job done, and that's enough.
Yeah, they did what they had to do, kind of, Dan, and let me explain what I mean by that. Yes, they won big, they assured themselves of a place in the playoffs. They've still got albeit a highly unlikely chance of making the top 8. It would take quite a weird set of results, I think, next week for them to do that. So almost certainly they're going into the playoffs. The only but, I think, about tonight is, yes, they scored 5 goals. But, watching this game, they could have scored 1 or 2 more. And goal difference could be a factor here, because looking at the teams they might face in the playoffs, there's quite a variety there in terms of quality of those potential opponents. And so goal difference to move up the table 1 or 2 places ahead of teams like Bayern, ahead of teams like Dortmund, could be important. And I just wonder if they might end up regretting conceding that late goal, which, yes, on the face of it doesn't matter in a 5-1, but it might matter in terms of potential playoff opponents.
Oh, Alex, you're very focused on this. I like it. I thought not 5-1, nice, and you're like, no, we want more. Look at the goal difference. Look at this.
A man that is absolutely up to date on this table. Unlike
anyone else. Alex, you look at it, obviously Vinicius Junior brilliant in the second half today. How much of a discussion has it actually been in Madrid over the last few days, considering how impressive Mbappe was without the Brazilian at the weekend?
Yeah, it has been mentioned, and this has been a concern right since Mbappe came in. We know that Mbappe really just likes to occupy the same kinds of spaces, either drifting left or starting left and drifting inside. And it's true that when Vinny isn't there, Mbappe does look to have a bit more freedom. Mbappe admitted it actually in the press conference before this game yesterday. He said, look, he was thinking too much earlier in the season, thinking a lot, and part of that was him worrying about, am I moving too much into Vinny's spaces? Am I moving too much into Rodrigo's spaces? Now, he said that he's basically sorted that out now. He feels a lot more comfortable. We're seeing that in his performances. I think it's starting to work, certainly more than it was earlier in the season. But yeah, it's a conversation that's being had, certainly with an eye to the future, with next summer, the talk that the Saudis will come back in for Vinicius and how much of a problem that might be for Real Madrid. The player I really feel sorry for is Rodrigo, because he scored twice tonight, scored 2 really good goals, the most important goals as well, the first 2 in the game to get them on the way after a tough start. And he gets forgotten about because it's always about Mbappe and Vinny and Bellingham. And Vinny was actually named MVP of this game when really I think it should have been Rodrigo.
Yeah, constantly in the shadow, isn't he, Alex? Like you and Sid Lowe, basically. So Alex will be back with us a little later on in the show as we'll be reflecting on those
below the belt
2 big comebacks for Barcelona and Atletico Madrid. Just a reminder, of course, La Liga action continues this weekend. Real Madrid away against Valladolid, and on Sunday, Barca take on struggling Valencia. All these games are live on ESPN+. We're expecting in the table. Keep an eye on this one for us with Stuart Robson, who joins us now. Robbo, explain this to us. How did Bayern lose 3-0?
Well, the game started off, as you said, with flares, and it sort of delayed by 7 minutes, which sort of stopped the flow of the early part of the game. And Feyenoord came out with a game plan. They were going to sit deep, they were going to be compact, they were going to defend for their lives, and they were going to try and play on the counter-attack. And for the first 20 minutes or so, they weren't able to get out, and Bayern Munich didn't do enough. The wide players didn't get involved enough, they didn't go past their men. Musiala couldn't get involved because there wasn't much space. Harry Kane's movement, I thought, was very poor throughout the game. Didn't work hard enough to find space in the box. But Bayern dominated the play. And one ball over the top, it was a great ball, by the way, over the top of Kim, who didn't read it well enough and then didn't react well enough. And a great goal from Jimenez. I mean, the first touch, as Ali just said, was fantastic, and he struck it past Manuel Neuer. And from that moment on, it was always a struggle for Bayern. They did create chances, which they missed, but they just didn't have enough guile about them. And the more the game went on, the more you saw that Feyenoord believed they were going to get a result. They defended.
Okay, some of the other games, we've got 3 more I want to focus on. Fulham against Manchester United. I want to start with you, Rob, simply because you were at Old Trafford on Thursday night. Yeah, that was interesting. And United against Rangers. So how's the wallpaper as far as papering over the cracks is concerned? Or is it another Southampton where, hey, a win's a win, move on? Because Fulham's a decent side. What are you expecting from this one?
Again, judging by the recent performances, and I include the wins over Southampton and Rangers in that, I would worry for Man United at Fulham. I think they're going to find it easier to play away from Old Trafford than actually playing home games at the moment. Amorim has talked about that really recently, just said that the anxiety in the stadium is not helping the players, so maybe they'll feel a little bit more freedom playing away from home at Craven Cottage. But Sunday at 7 p.m, under the lights at Craven Cottage against a Fulham team who are really, really well organised, incredibly well coached by Marco Silva. He will have been looking all week about how you can pick holes in this 3-4-3 system that Amorim is trying to implement at Man United. He will know that he's trying to do it without the players that he needs to make it work. And he will have spotted what other managers have spotted in the last couple of weeks. The holes that were at either side of those 2 midfielders that were brutally exposed by the likes of Newcastle, Bournemouth, Nottingham Forest, Brighton, are likely still to be there against Fulham. And Marco Silva is such a good coach that he will know how to exploit that. So I think every Man United fan who was travelling to Craven Cottage on Sunday will be worried. Amorim won't admit it publicly, but he will be worried. It's a massive opportunity for Fulham to make a statement.
Janusz 10th against 13th in the table. Times have changed. Manchester United at Fulham was a case of, well, that'll be a United win when they were flying and winning league titles and all sorts. It's not like that now. If Fulham don't win this, is it a disappointment for them? Do they expect to get all 3 points against the struggling Manchester United?
Yeah, they could say that. I mean, they've had a wonderful season, obviously. I mean, not maybe recently, 2 draws and a loss. And last game, obviously, they won. But, Leicester City, I suppose, these days, it's not a massive win. But I think they've shown before that how good they can be, especially at home. And you're playing against Manchester United team that, as Rob said, the problem with Manchester United, like, we go back to it because they are Manchester United. There's still enough players there, you think, or maybe Bruno Fernandes, as we've been saying, by far the best player. That goal is important for him, for Manchester United. That could be a catalyst with the way, because it's not insignificant. I know how we feel about this league, and Manchester United, maybe they should be playing in the Champions League, but that may be the only way for them to get to the Champions League, right? Winning Europa League, they've done that recently, so that is important. But the problem I have with this Manchester United is that I don't even know who to trust on that team. I feel for Amorim, watching that game on Wednesday. I mean, imagine if even such an experienced player like Maguire makes a mistake like that late in a game, where, if it's not for Bruno Fernandes, they go out of top 8. I mean, so it's crazy to me. I don't know what to make of this Manchester United. I don't trust really any players on that team apart from Bruno Fernandes. Not one player I feel comfortable about. So imagine how Amorim must feel.
Yeah, Elemi, let's talk about United's goals. And look, they're an easy target when they're not playing well because they're such a big team. But we can also turn it around and we can say that since the Newcastle game just before the new year, Manchester United have scored in every game they've played in 2025. Now, we'll not get into the other end of the pitch with the defences. So the question to you was going to be, where are the goals coming from? Xerxes, Højlund, but they're finding a way, whether it's Bruno or whoever, to get goals. So where are the goals coming from at Fulham, and how do you stop, whether it's Jimenez or whoever is in attack for Fulham with their kind of cast of characters coming from midfield that can also score?
Yeah, I'm glad you ended with Fulham, because I'll take the baton here, because it's not just about Raúl Jimenez. Rob has said it, Janusz has said it. This is a very well-managed team by Marco Silva, and I think this is the kind of game that Anthony Robinson is going to have a field in. Because he's going to be able to have a lot of opportunities to put those balls in. By the way, a player like Harry Wilson as well, who's made 14 chances since the beginning of the new year. That's most out of any player. Not saying that all of them have gone behind the back of the net, but he's making a lot of chances. Iwobi as well can take advantage. I just go back to the fact that this is a match between recent history and form, because Manchester United actually enjoy playing Fulham. They've won the last 7. It's just that we're talking about this particular Manchester United. And to answer your questions about the goals, Janusz is correct. Bruno Fernandes, after him, they have to really just rely on this sort of collection of players that can make something happen. I mean, Licha Martinez had to turn himself into Juan Roman Riquelme against Rangers with that cross. It's not like he does that all the time. Amad Diallo, of course, performing very well. So they're going to have to come up with ways to try and break them down, because Fulham are very well organized away from the ball as well. And at Craven Cottage, they haven't lost since November. They haven't won as many, but they haven't lost. They've got that good point against Arsenal earlier on as well. So they're going to give them a fight. I see a situation here where United, just like Rob said, are preferring more so than not to play away from Old Trafford. And they could maybe salvage a point. But they're going to have to go against a very well-organized Fulham. And by the way, Ruben Amorim has never lost 7 in a season. And this could be it if they're not careful.
Rob, let's end this little bit talking about the transfer window in Manchester United. 10 days or so to go before it slams shut, because they never just close. So what's going to happen with Manchester United? Any potential ins? What about Garnacho? What about Rashford?
Well, they are trying to bring players in, but they need to get rid of players first. So we expect Anthony to join Real Betis on loan until the end of the season. That should free up a little bit of budget space. They're obviously trying to offload Marcus Rashford, but his wages are making that extremely difficult. The clubs who have expressed interest, Barcelona, Borussia Dortmund, Milan, have all kind of backed away because of the high money that's involved with trying to do that deal. That may be one that goes right down to deadline day. If someone comes in and offers United a deal and they kind of become more flexible and lower their demand right at the last minute. There's also a possibility that Alejandro Garnacho could go. We asked Ruben Amorim after the Rangers game whether Garnacho would be at the club beyond the deadline, and he was very, very non-committal. He just said, look, guys, we're going to have to wait and see. I don't know. The bonus for United, if Garnacho was to go, is that as an academy graduate, all that would be pure profit. It would help United's finances immeasurably, and that maybe would allow them to go and do another couple of deals. That they are in talks with Lecce about a left-back, Patrick Dorgu, a Denmark international, which would help Amorim implement his system, because he just hasn't got any wing-backs to play this 3-4-3 system, and it's obvious to anyone that watches them that they need specialist wing-backs. So possibly that deal may get done towards the end of the window, but really, United's finances are so tight. They're really walking a tightrope in terms of PSR, so they need to get players out before they can look to bring players in.
Janusz, we move on to Wolves against Arsenal. It's one of these, you look at the table, you think Arsenal should win that, but it could be a bit of a banana skin, especially with Wolves tightening up at the back under their new coach since he came in. What did you make of Mikel Arteta's comments over the last 24 hours, where he's talking about lacking goals and lacking options and may have to go into the transfer market to sign a striker?
Yeah, he's capitulated finally, hasn't he? I think, we kind of said it. We never know what's going to happen. Yeah, I mean, of course, we know that longer term, and even now, I mean, it's still not inconceivable that they can join the fight, right? I mean, we're not talking about a massive difference. There's a game in hand. What is it, 6 points, I think, right now? So, I mean, you have to continue to win because the margins are very small. I think he understands, of course, that Kai Havertz never will be one. Anything that he does, it's a bonus, right? It's gravy, really, when you think about that. And given the fact that he's missing some key players in that line, you know, it's no news to us. But I think, you know, throughout, part of me thinks that he's managed, you know, Arsenal in general have managed this fairly well because they have holes, and we were afraid to what was going to happen if the starting 11 get some injuries, because I think all of us here, I remember every one of you saying that the true depth of squad really wasn't there even before the season, and I think we're seeing that right now, and look, it's a funny game. You know, LME's probably smirking there a little bit, but you know, that remontada, I mean, that makes a difference. You know, I worry more about now mentality of Arsenal after that game, because we're talking differently here. Even the game against Brighton, they were ahead in that game, if I remember correctly, as well. You know, 2 draws, not the end of the world, but with the way Liverpool are playing, I think in general, as a whole, Arsenal can score goals. I mean, if we're sitting here and saying, hey, Manchester United finds a way of scoring goals, then Arsenal is way above that.
LME, last word on this game, a fixture for Arsenal they should win. There'll certainly be no complacency, but what threat can Wolves pose? There's been speculation about Matheus Cunha, and a whole host of clubs have been linked with him. They've got some threats as well, haven't they?
Yeah, they're very talented. They're just, you know, with all due respect, a struggling Wolves side that just can't do much because they've lost 18 of their last 20 Premier League matches against sides in the top 2 of the table. The Gunners have won their last 7 games against Wolves and are unbeaten in 12 straight in the Premier League. They haven't won a game this year, though, to be fair to Vitor Pereira. You know, they played Forest, Newcastle, and Chelsea so far, so it's not exactly the easiest schedule. Now they have to face Arsenal. But there's internal issues as well. Mario Lemina wants out, and he's kind of given Pereira a little bit of a trouble. But they do have talent. I mean, Strand Larsen, you know, he's just a little bit off from having some ridiculous goals in this season. He's just not quite there yet. And you mentioned him, Matheus Cunha, who reportedly at some point was a target for Arsenal as well. And you could see a situation maybe where, like, you know, just on the counter, they break up and they score and they surprise Arsenal, because as Janusz rightly said, I was smirking. I wasn't smirking, I was laughing my head off when we got that equalizer against Arsenal, because that they need to put games away and they just don't do it. And Mikel Arteta has already said it, and we've said it over and over again. I know that Trossard and Martinelli and Havertz will be able to be a band-aid on that gunshot wound, but they need a lethal striker. In this game, it might be tough in the first 15 minutes. Wolves might be up for it, but I think as the game prolongs, history will repeat itself. Arsenal will get the 3 points. This is not the kind of game I'm worried for Arsenal. It's other matches if you want to win the Premier League.
Okay, let's wrap up today's ESPN FC Live with a game where I just don't know how Ipswich get something from this game. But you know what? That's why we play the 90 minutes. Ipswich go to Liverpool. It's been over 22 and a half years since they last went to Anfield, and they got beaten 5-0, right? So, okay. But the time before that, here's the BBC Match report. Ipswich outclassed lacklustre Liverpool. December 2000, Rob, and it was Marcus Stewart that got the winning goal as Gerard Houllier made 466 changes to his starting 11, and they were rubbish that day. So what's more likely? 5-0 Liverpool again, just like it was the last time Ipswich were there in the Premier League, or Ipswich doing a Nottingham Forest from earlier this season in September and shocking the English football community?
Far more likely that Liverpool win 5-0. They're going through a little bit of a wobble. I think, 3 wins in the last 6 games, so a mini wobble by their standards. To be honest, given what happened to Ipswich against Man City last weekend, it's probably the perfect result or the perfect fixture for Liverpool to really start regaining their confidence. I think that Ipswich will be looking at that game with the best will in the world. Again, Kieran McKenna won't admit it, but he'll be looking at that game and thinking, we're not going to stay up dependent on results at Anfield and against Liverpool and Man City. They'll be looking at other games to get points. If they take something against Liverpool, it's a fantastic bonus, but their season won't be judged by what happens at Anfield. That they'll take their defeat and move on.
Okay, how many, Rob, for Liverpool? How many goals?
3-0 Liverpool.
Janusz?
Yeah, that was my score in my head, 3-0.
LME?
I'll give Liverpool one more, 4-0.
Okay. Good luck to Ipswich at Anfield on Saturday. Full reaction to all the games this weekend at ESPN FC and, of course, every night on ESPN+. It is ESPN FC. Thank you for your company today. Janusz, safe travels. I know you're off to Europe.
Manchester United, Juventus, Manchester City, and other big football teams. Yes, we're deep into the January transfer window, and so we have two legends of the industry on the show today to discuss transfers. That's right, John McKenzie and I will be here throughout the entire show. Also, we're joined by David Ornstein and James Horncastle to discuss football transfers. David, let's start with John Duran, who was the object of a big bid from West Ham. What can you tell me about this situation?
Yeah, so the proposal itself from the Hammers was worth £57 million, inclusive of add-ons. And that's for a player that they've got a long-standing interest in, dating back to last summer when Chelsea and others were also on the scene. And they had already come for him in this January window. But they've upped it significantly in an attempt to bring Aston Villa to the negotiating table. But Aston Villa have kept their hands away from the table because that's nowhere near their valuation. So, of course, rejected if it even needed to be. And they valued Duran more in the region or upwards of £100 million. And they see him as a top talent, 21 years old, with immense goal-scoring prowess and potential. That's why he's attracting interest from all over the game. And it's going to give Aston Villa a lot to think about at some point, if it hasn't already, because there's great assets in this PSR world that they've had challenges with, and they've clearly showed that trading is important. They've got another top striker in Ollie Watkins, and it's rare that teams carry two, especially when their manager Unai Emery tends to play with one. And when he played with two in midweek, or for a period of the match, he says it was a mistake on his part. And then, there have been questions about his character, and Emery's talked about how he's needed to learn. He's a young man, and that learning happens in a pressurised environment and needs to be quick before managers sometimes turn away from these players. But for now, they've got no intention of letting him go. And
at least for that much money.
Certainly not for that much money, and let's see what the coming days bring in the market. We're going to be talking about him loads, but for the time being, the sort of concrete development is, West Ham bid £57 million, including add-ons. It's not going to get them the player. I don't think they can go much higher. And there are many around West Ham questioning how they were even able to go that high. Was the bid as credible as was made out? Well, yeah, it was, but it's not going to go any further unless they up it significantly.
We've heard.
Good news, England wickets keep falling, 153 for 8 now. Brighton cast run out for 31 off 17. Horrible mix-up with Archer, and as always, England have serious problems against spin. So it's 153 for 8. It's not going to be enough to beat India in their backyard. There's 2 overs to go. Live coverage continues on TalkSport 2 and the live stream on TalkSport's Cricket YouTube channel.
In my uneducated cricket head, Bazball should work in white ball, but it isn't so far. Let's focus on the football then. Let's head round the grounds for your lineups. Liverpool take on Ipswich. It's live on TalkSport from Anfield. Ian Danter.
Liverpool made just one change from the Lille Champions League's win in the week. Andy Robertson back in for Tsimikas at left back. So it's Alisson in goal, Trent Alexander-Arnold, Ibrahima Konate, Virgil van Dijk and Andy Robertson at the back. Ryan Gravenberch, Alexis McAllister, Cody Gakpo, Dominic Szoboszlai and Mo Salah in behind Luis Diaz in attack. For Ipswich, 5 changes from the humbling at home to Manchester City. Burgess, Kiyusta and Clark all out of the squad altogether. Godfrey and Johnson also dropped. In come Twantabi, Burns, Greaves, Philogene for a full debut and Phillips, with Enciso on the bench. Christian Walton, the Ipswich keeper, Axel Twanzebe, Dara O'Shea, Jacob Greaves and Leif Davis in the back four, Sam Morsey and Calvin Phillips holding in midfield, and then Wes Burns, Amari Hutchinson and Jaden Philogene in behind Liam Delap in attack. Live at 3 o'clock on TalkSport 2, it's Liverpool against Ipswich Town.
It's on TalkSport. Wolves take on Arsenal at Molineux. Adam Bridge.
Big team news for Arsenal. Odegaard is ill and Marina has a knock. In come Nwaneri and Saliba. So Raya's in goal. It's Timber, Saliba, Gabriel and Lewis Skelly across the back. Rice and Partey the holding midfielders. Nwaneri filling in for Odegaard in the 10 role, with Martinelli, Havertz and Trossard up front. As for Wolves, they're unchanged. Sarr in goal. Doherty, Bueno, Agbodo across the back. It's Semedo and Ait Nouri, the two wing backs. Andre and Gomez in central midfield, with Sarabia and Cunha supporting Strand Larsen, who leads the line. At Molineux, it's Wolves against Arsenal.
The Vitality here, it's Bournemouth against Forest. What a game, Ian Abrahams.
It is, yeah, absolutely. And the big team news is that Callum Hudson-Odoi hasn't made it for Forest today. Jota Silva replaces him. Ryan Yates returns as captain, so Domingos drops to the bench. Sells in goal. Aina, Milenkovic, Murillo and Williams across the back. Yates and Anderson. Then Elanga, Gibbs, White and Silva, with Chris Wood up front. If it ain't broke, don't fix it is always the mantra to follow. So having won 4-1 at Newcastle, why change a team? And that is what Bournemouth have done. They've named the same side. So Kepa's in goal, Cook, Zabani, Hosen and Kirkes across the back. Adams and Christie holding, with Brooks, Cliver and Semenyo supporting Dango Ouattara up front. Bournemouth against Forest here at the Vitality.
And at St Mary's, also on the south coast, it's Southampton, Newcastle, Alex Crook.
And no Aaron Ramsdale for the hosts. He's out injured, so Alex McCarthy comes in as one of 4 changes. Agachukwu, Manning and Onuachu also restored. McCarthy in goal, Bree, Bednarek and Harwood Bellis the back 3. Walker Peters, Agachukwu, Aribo and Manning make up the midfield, with Fernandez in behind Onuachu and Armstrong up front. But Newcastle's share for Botman is the only alteration from that surprising defeat at home to Bournemouth last weekend. Dubravka in goal, Livramento, Share, Byrne and Hall the back 4. Guimaraes, Tonali and Joe Linton make up midfield. Murphy, Isak and Gordon the front trio. Southampton have lost their last 5 home league games. Never in their history have they lost 6 in a row. It's Southampton against Newcastle.
Yeah, stand by for that. Everton at Brighton at the Amex. Alfie Reynolds.
And Brighton make 2 changes, with Tariq Lamptey replacing Estupinian, who drops out of the squad, whilst Minte moves to the bench, with Brajan Gruda coming straight back in to start. Verbruggen is in goal, Lamptey, Van Hecke, Dunk and Veltman at the back, Baliba and Ayari in midfield, with João Pedro, Gruda and Matoma behind Welbeck. Everton are unchanged from beating Tottenham, although James Garner returns and is amongst the replacements. Pickford is in goal, O'Brien, Tarkowski, Branthwaite and Mikolenko at the back. Gay and Mangala sit behind Lindstrom, Decore and Ndai. Calvert-Lewin leads the line. It's Brighton hosting Everton.
It's Game Day live on TalkSport with Enterprise Rent a Car, whatever the mission, home or away. Enterprise helps over 120,000 people every day. Don't forget, when we're done 5:30, it's the Game Day phone-in with Jamie O'Hara and Jermaine Pennant. We've got live Premier League football tomorrow for you. 7 o'clock, Fulham take on Manchester United. I'll be at Craven Cottage from 6:30. It's live and exclusive and only on TalkSport. Alan Pardew will be there for us. Before that, the Sunday session keeps you in touch with all the football throughout the course of the afternoon from 1:30 for a full 5 hours from your host Sam Matterface. Monday night, TalkSport 2. It's the only place that brings you EFL commentaries, the only place for Championship commentaries on national radio, and it's a big one. 2 of the breakaway top 4, Burnley take on Leeds, and that's live and exclusive on TalkSport 2. And don't forget, on Wednesday it is all the final round of Champions League games. All 18 games will be played on Wednesday night, and we've got live commentary of Aston Villa Celtic on TalkSport, and I'll be at the Etihad for Man City against Club Brugge. TalkSport 2, win and City are through. If they don't win, they are out of Europe, out of the Champions League. Premier League this afternoon, the top 3 kicking off at 3. Updates from Forest game here at Bournemouth. Updates from Arsenal's trip to Wolves, and live exclusive Premier League commentary to come right now as TalkSport takes you to Anfield. 4, top of the table Liverpool against bottom 3 Ipswich Town. Your commentary team, former Premier League captain Troy Deeney alongside Ian Danta.
Thanks, Adrian, and a very good afternoon to you wherever and however you're listening to TalkSport on Game Day. Liverpool's inexorable march towards a 20th top-flight title has shown little sign of being halted. As well as that, their record against promoted teams is particularly strong. They've won their last 10 such games with an aggregate scoreline of 34-7. Into that scenario then come the visitors today, Ipswich Town, on the back of 2 successive home defeats with none scored and 8 conceded. Suffolk side, as Adrian's just mentioned, in the bottom 3, but level on points with Wolves, the other side of the dotted line. And Kieran McKenna has been busy recruiting in this January window, looking for the balance and blend that could keep them up on this Premier League return. Arne Slot keeps Liverpool's changes to a bare minimum today after that 7th straight Champions League win over Lille here on Tuesday. Andy Robertson returns at left back for Kostas Tsimikas. Jota and Jones are absent through injury. Jones went off with what looked like a groin problem midway through the game against Lille. So Liverpool line up with Alisson in goal, Trent Alexander-Arnold, Ibrahima Konate, Virgil van Dijk and Andy Robertson in the back 4. It's a big day for Virgil van Dijk, his 300th Liverpool appearance today. Ryan Gravenberch and Alexis McAllister, the deeper midfielders, Cody Gakpo, Dominic Szoboszlai and Mo Salah in behind Luis Diaz in attack, and a Liverpool bench of Kelleher, Endo, Nunez, Chiesa, Elliott, Tsimikas, Dans, Quansah and Bradley. What of Ipswich? Well, they make 5 changes from that 6-0 reverse at home to Manchester City last Sunday. 3 players exiting the Matchday squad altogether in Cameron Burgess, Jack Clark and Jens Kajuste. The 2 Bens, Godfrey and Johnson also make way as Jaden Philogene makes need to be a bit cuter against these better players. 8 goals in the Premier League though for Liam Delap. It's not been too shabby a debut. Excellent. At the elite level for the former Manchester City academy star. Jacob Greaves brings the ball down on his chest for Ipswich, lobs it over the halfway line. Wes Burns goes up with Van Dijk. Van Dijk comfortably won the header but has stayed on the ground, just fell awkwardly there. He will get up shortly. I don't think he's too badly injured. Meantime, Luis Diaz picks it up down the left hand side for Liverpool. Solihull Moors 0, FC Halifax Town 1 in the National League. Van Dijk's back on his feet and he receives the ball back from Trent Alexander-Arnold. Now Szoboszlai has Salah holding the right wing, wants the ball up against Leif Davis, level with the edge of the area, darting down the right hand side, lays it back to Szoboszlai, right hand corner of the area, clips the ball in across to Robertson on the left hand side of the box, tries to drive it across the face of goal but it came off the knees of the defender and out of play for a throw. Wes Burns diverted it out. Quickly taken throw from Liverpool. Not back to Alexis McAllister. Square ball to Konate, midway point of the half. Just lobs a diagonal ball into the penalty area, but it's too high for Gakpo, and that'll be an Ipswich goal kick. 0-0 on TalkSport.
Interestingly, from an Ipswich point of view, when they are defending, they've got Wes Burns dropping right the way down, so they essentially turn to a 5 when it's coming down Liverpool's right and their left. And that's where, when the ball got clipped all the way through then to Robertson at the back post, he was literally on his own because Wes Burns covered in as if he was a right back essentially, and that's got to be a worry because later on in this game Szoboszlai will start to cheat and go in there, as will Luis Diaz. These good players will start to realise what's going on and then start to find these spaces.
Alexander-Arnold slides it down the right wing for Mo Salah, faced up by Jacob Greaves, gets to the edge of the area, comes inside on that left foot, tried that shot as he does so often towards goal, but it was blocked at source by Leif Davis. Salah gets it again down the right hand side of the area. Few hands go up for offside. Cross comes in, headed up in the air awkwardly by Twanzebe. Greaves tries to help it clear, and Phillips then is dispossessed by McAllister, running out towards the corner flag right hand side, and then he hits it against, well, he thought he won a corner there, Alexis McAllister, but the linesman on that far side has given a goal kick to Ipswich. Opening goal at the Vitality Stadium on TalkSport. Ian Abrahams.
Bournemouth 1, Nottingham Forest 0. Justin Kluivert picked up the ball midway inside his own half. He ran and ran and ran, and when the crowd asked him to shoot, he obliged, and he beat Sells to his right-hand side. Bournemouth 1, Forest 0.
Who needs strikers when you got Justin Kluivert?
He's flying, isn't it?
What a start for Bournemouth. In fantastic form, 11 unbeaten, let's not forget, before the start of play today. You're listening to TalkSport. Liverpool 0, Ipswich 0. Ian Dancer and Troy Deeney with you at Anfield. 8 minutes gone, and no real chances for either side just yet. Liverpool just seem to be sizing Ipswich up for the moment.
Yeah, they're just trying to figure out, Dance, which is the side that is best to attack.
Yeah.
So they keep going from left to right, but Ipswich early doors, his first 10 minutes are really moving and shifting well. What Liverpool know is it's impossible to do this for 90 minutes, so they'll just keep you patient. But I think their best chance is going to be down Salah's side, because Philogene is not naturally a defender.
Gakpo swings across in, headed away by O'Shea. 0-0. Burton equalised against Rotherham. That's 1-1. John Daddy-Bodvarsson, I think that's 2-2 for him. And Wigan are 1-0 upon Bristol Rovers. Elsewhere in League One, James Carragher makes it 1-0 to the Latics. Hearts 1-0 upon Kilmarnock in Scotland. And it's 0-0 here. India have been set 166 runs to win the second T20. You can hear their reply live on TalkSport 2 right now. That's why this commentary is here on TalkSport. Goal at St Mary's, Alex Crook.
And how about this? Southampton 1, Newcastle 0. Jan Bednarek climbing highest in the penalty area. It's a brilliant header from the centre-back, meeting across from the right-hand side. It had been all Newcastle to that point, but it's the home side in front. Southampton 1, Newcastle 0.
Having lost their last 5 in the Premier League, but Newcastle losing heavily at St James's last time. Here's Szoboszlai for Liverpool, up to the edge of the area. Brilliant goal! Left-footed drive, low, hard and true, into the bottom corner. It's not taken Liverpool long, less than 10 minutes to hit the front, and it's Dominic Szoboszlai with an emphatic low finish past Christian Wall's despairing left hand and into the bottom corner for Liverpool 1, Ipswich Town 0.
What a ball from Konate. Come down that right-hand side, and I could sense that was the problem. Konate's just strolling in. As he opens up, fires a really good breaking pass into Szoboszlai, who rolls out to his back foot. Looks like he's going to play Salah in. Cruyff, as he comes in on the edge of the box, 20 yards out. Lovely shot with that left foot, right across the goalkeeper. No chance for Walton. 1-0 Liverpool, and unfortunately now, Dance, Ipswich are going to have to come after him, and you know what happens when that happens, don't you?
One can quickly become 2 and 3. Well, Ipswich fans know about losing heavily here at a side like Liverpool down the years. St Mirren take the lead at Aberdeen in the Scottish Prem. We're back underway on TalkSport. Ipswich kicking back off, but an offside flag goes up against Delap. Let's check in about what's happening at Molineux on TalkSport. And there this afternoon for us is Adam Bridge.
Wolves 0, Arsenal 0. Arsenal in control generally, but the best chance so far has gone to Wolves. Semedo down the right-hand side. Lovely cross swung in and on the volley. Sarabia should have done better, but he volleyed over the crossbar. Wolves 0, Arsenal 0.
And a championship goal at Ashton Gate. Lawrence Mora.
Bristol City 1, Blackburn 0. Scott Twine from a free kick. You'll be shocked to hear he's the free kick expert at Ashton Gate. He's curled it right-footed 20 yards over the wall and into the back of the net. Bristol City 1, Blackburn 0.
Alexander Arnold swings across in for the right, blocked away by Calvin Phillips after Mo Salah so nearly in behind for Liverpool, but Jacob Greaves got back goal side and got the block in, Troy Deeney.
Yeah, great ball from Trent just over the top, a little clip down the channel. The problem was the bounce was going up, so Mo Salah couldn't get it under control. If he could have got it under control, he was in for a 1v1. Greaves gets back, arguably could have been given a penalty, but Mohamed Salah was asking for one, but the ref has waved that away and no VAR getting involved. But Liverpool look like they're turning the screw now. They're realising that they can invite the pressure on from Ipswich, make them come up, and then just go direct in behind with that pace and the power that they have.
12 minutes gone on TalkSport, so Liverpool already have the lead here through Dominic Szoboszlai's clinical left-footed strike. So Bristol City ahead against Blackburn, as you just heard from Lawrence, and Scott Twine doesn't score tap-ins. He only scores free kicks and 30-yarders, seems to me. Here's Calvin Phillips finding Axel Tuanzebe, the Ipswich right back, inside his own half, takes it up toward the halfway line for Wes Burns, and the Welshman is just clipped by Cody Gakpo, and the referee gives a free kick to Ipswich, which Burns wanted to take quickly because he saw Liam Delap on his bike over the halfway line, but just wasn't quite quick enough to spot the run. Let's give you first update of the afternoon in the Premier League from the Amex Stadium. Alfie Reynolds.
Well, it's Brighton 0, Everton 0, but big concerns for Dominic Calvert-Lewin. He has just limped off to be replaced by Beto. Calvert-Lewin with a goal-scoring appearance last week. He went down clutching his hamstring. How big a blow could that be for David Moyes and Everton? 15 gone, Brighton 0, Everton 0.
Luis Diaz wins the ball back for Liverpool. 1-0 up here against Ipswich. Midway point of the Ipswich half, lays it back to McAllister. Szoboszlai, the goal scorer, 25 yards out, clips it out to the right wing for Trent Alexander-Arnold, steps inside Jayden Philogene, tries to fire across in, Morsey gets the block in, and then Alexander-Arnold fouls Jayden Philogene, and Ipswich get a free kick. Poor Dominic Calvert-Lewin. He's made a straw of that boy, isn't he, Troy Deeney? Made a straw.
Yeah, it's a shame. You don't want to see players keep getting injured, but at some point you've got to be able to be consistent, and it's a real big investment for Everton to give him a new contract when you just see how little game time he gets back, and also he's not been scoring a lot, so when he feels like the new manager coming back in gets a goal, gets a win, you'd expect him to kick on, but unfortunately his body's made of cheese strings, as you said.
You're listening to Liverpool 1, Ipswich 0 on TalkSport with Sky Sports. Don't forget, you can stream the biggest Premier League games available with no contract on now, like Man City Chelsea live today. Search Now Sports. Burns with a cross into the box for the first time for Ipswich today, but Liverpool deal with it, head it clear, and now Gakpo's on the charge. Down the inside left channel, gets over the halfway line, rides the challenge of Tuanzebe and finds Szoboszlai once more. Shovels it out to the right wing for Mo Salah, up against Davis, gets into the area, goes on the outside of Davis, gets to the dead ball line, but Davis again managed to get back goal side, and that afforded Walton the chance to pounce on top of the loose ball and prevent another chance on goal for Liverpool. Quarter of an hour gone, 1-0 to the hosts.
The transition is key for Liverpool. As soon as they turn the ball over from Ipswich, whether it be a cross like we've just seen there and a great header from Virgil van Dijk, they could just go so quickly, and they're in within 2 passes. Mohamed Salah's in at the back line of Leif Davis, and good defending from Leif Davis in the end, but we'd probably argue that Mo Salah could have done a little bit better.
He's got a bit of green grass to scamper into here, Leif Davis, as he gets up over halfway for Ipswich Town. Squares it inside for Calvin Phillips, who gives it back to Davis. Then further down the left-hand side for Philogene. Maybe a chance to run at Alexander-Arnold. No, back came the challenge of Mo Salah to take it back to his keeper. Lincoln City 1, Peterborough 0. Dom Jeffries puts the Imps in front in League One. Got their first win in 7 last time out, the Imps, starting the day in 12th. Earlier today in the EFL, wins for Millwall and Norwich, a draw between Stoke and Oxford. Cambridge, Bolton, Bradford all won, and the horrible rivalry between Milton Keynes and AFC Wimbledon continued with a goalless draw at Stadium MK. Those two do not like each other for obvious reasons. It's 1-0 here to Liverpool. As the ball sent up towards the edge of the Ipswich box, Tuanzebe gets ahead of Luis Diaz, but the chip ball forward won't find Delap. Konate and Van Dijk tidy up. Robertson shovels it out to the left wing, just down beneath our commentary position, and Cody Gakpo. He knocks it back to McAllister. Square ball into the middle of the Ipswich half for Konate. Now out to the right-hand side. Alexander-Arnold is ahead of Salah on this occasion. Salah knocks it back in field to the 2 centre-halves. Crewe 0, Accrington 1. Sean Wally, another goal for Stanley at Crewe this afternoon. That's second against 21st. Here's Virgil van Dijk as just a hush falls over Anfield for a moment with 17 minutes gone. Liverpool 1 goal to the good already, courtesy of Dominic Szoboszlai. Diaz goes back in field to Konate in that central position once again. Out to Alexander-Arnold, who's elected not to try and go past Lee Davis that time. Very, very patient from Liverpool. Diaz again, inside left channel, up towards the edge of the area. Fires it out left to Gakpo. Tries to get Robertson in on the overlap, but too much on that pass and it just trickled over the dead ball line. And it's a goal kick to Ipswich, 1-0 Liverpool.
Good shape from Ipswich though, held their line really well. They're really disciplined. Just looking down at Kieran McKenna, talking to Delap now, asking him to get some messages on, because he'll feel that, yes, while the containing is good, they have to be able to get out. If you keep inviting the pressure like they are,
this is going to get really ugly really quickly. And for Liverpool, maybe a little pot shot from the edge of the area. Just make Ipswich have to think about something. They're trying to get so many little 1-2s and little bits of patterns of play that if you can get that pot shot off, you never know, it might just make them come out and defend a bit better. Good turn from Hutchinson, tries to send the ball down the right for Wes Burns, who got to the byline, and he's won a corner off Andy Robertson. Hutchinson with a lovely turn for Ipswich inside his own half, ran fully 40 yards before releasing it down the right wing, and Burns won a corner off Andy Robertson at the Kop end. 1-0 Liverpool. Good turn of pace for Wes Burns as well. Gives Liverpool something to think about. Andy Robertson defended well just at that last ditch there, but this will be a massive chance for Ipswich now, whether they can go and got some big boys, but good delivery, has to beat the first man and allow for his players to come and head this ball. But this will be one of the big key opportunities that they've been working on from Thursday and Friday to get these opportunities. Zonal marking from Liverpool at the Kop end. Liverpool not marking anybody inside the 6-yard box. There's 3 Ipswich players beyond the far post, a couple around the penalty spot, and 3 lurking at the edge of the area for this corner from Leif Davis. Right under the crossbar. Allison flaps at it but gets it half clear, and Szoboszlai completed the clearance for Liverpool, but there was a push inside the box on Allison, and Michael Salisbury's given a free kick to Liverpool. Goals elsewhere: Fleetwood 0, Carlisle 1 in League 2 this afternoon. Chedwin Scott puts Carlisle ahead, just 1 in 10 for the Cumbrians. Tranmere 1, Gillingham 0 in the same division. Tranmere lost 3 out of 4, but Sol Solomon gives them the lead against Gillingham. And Livingston 2, Hamilton 0 in Scotland, and the Spartans 0, Peterhead 1 in the Scottish lower leagues. Ian Danter and Troy Deeney with you on TalkSport this Saturday afternoon. 20 minutes gone at Anfield. Liverpool 1, Ipswich 0. Dominic Szoboszlai inside 10 minutes with a really sweet low left-footed strike into the bottom corner. Here he is again, feeding it in field for Alexis McAllister. Going to go for goal from 30 yards. That's a low drive, but it's well wide in the end. Walton knew he had it covered, and it was a good 3 yards wide of Walton's left-hand post as we look to the Anfield Road, and it's a goal kick to Ipswich. That Liverpool 3 in midfield just dominate, don't they? The ball come back there from Phillips into Morsey, and Morsey just tried to leave it for Phillips to go and run onto, and all 3 of Liverpool's midfielders just swarmed, won the ball back, but also just dominated, left Morsey on the floor. Little 1-2, and McAllister will probably be a bit disappointed with this shot. It's one of those ones when you know you've got to hit it hard because you're 30 yards out, tries to hit it too hard and just scuffs it to that left-hand side. Let's get an update from Molyneux on TalkSport with Adam Bridge.
Wolves 0, Arsenal 0, but the visitors should be in front. Brilliant play from Trossard on that left-hand side, onto his right foot, dinked a lovely ball into the box. Havertz rose highest, but he couldn't direct his header goalwards. It was a whisker wide of the left-hand post of Jose Sarr. 21 minutes played, Wolves 0, Arsenal 0.
1-0 here to Liverpool. Let's check into the vitality on TalkSport with Ian Abrahams.
Midway through the first half, still Bournemouth 1, Forest 0. The goal scored by Justin Cliver. We've just seen Christie have a shot saved by Sells. At the other end, Morgan Gibbs-White, Elliot Anderson and Ryan Yates all close with long-range efforts for Forest. Bournemouth 1, Forest 0.
Liverpool in possession inside their own half, so let's get off to St Mary's next on Game Day Live with Alex Crook. It's still Southampton 1, Newcastle 0. Jan Bednarek with a header on 10 minutes. There is a VAR check here for a possible Newcastle penalty. Alexander Isak bursting into the 6-yard box. Joe Aribo with a challenge. I don't think he got enough of the ball. I wonder if this might well be a penalty for Newcastle and a chance to get back into the game. The check continues. At the moment, it's still Southampton 1, Newcastle 0. All right, thank you, Alex. We'll get back to you as and when things change, potentially at St Mary's. Free kick given as Van Dijk was just caught trying to get rid of the ball. Yeah, how good was that? Brought the ball out of the sky like he got moccasins on and then got fouled as he tried to effect the pass forward. But yeah, he's so laid back, he's horizontal, isn't he, Virgil van Dijk? The ball's just gone over, to give the listener, it's gone over his head. As he's brought it down with an unbelievable touch, he's got Liam Delap bearing down on the back of him. He just flicks it over his own head, with his head, and over Liam Delap, and still gets on the other side of it. He's facing his own goal. Everybody else would be putting that out for a throw-in. World class. World class. Perry Groves would be saying at this point, his only problem is if the wind gets up, his cigar will go out. McAllister for Liverpool, who lead by a goal to 0 midway through the first half. We'll check in at the Amex again in just a moment on TalkSport. Ball's gone out to Trent Alexander-Arnold on the right-hand side. Finds Van Dijk in the centre circle and drills a ball out to Gakpo. Left-hand side down towards the corner flag. at the Anfield Road end. Comes back on in his right foot. Was he caught by Wes Burns? Well, he was, but the referee says play on. And Burns has hurt himself. Shot coming in from Van Dijk from distance. And Wes Burns, having made that challenge, has come off worse in trying to dispossess. It's his right knee. Yep, we're just seeing a close-up. The monitors are a bit erratic here at Anfield this afternoon. But he went in strongly and jarred his knee. Knee against knee there, Troy Deeney. Not nice.
It doesn't look good. He's on the full stretch leading across. And as he's got to make the tackle, Gakpo's passed it and his left knee has got into his right knee. But what you can just see on the replay is his MCL just goes inside a little bit. And the fact that he's reacted the way he has doesn't look good to me. It looks like he's opened the inside of his knee up. If you just watch it back on this replay here, Dan, as he leans in, watch this right knee. See how his knee comes in on the inside? Yeah. That doesn't look good. I wish him all the best.
Well, he's getting treatment now, so whilst that's happening, let's check in once again. Oh, it is a penalty at St Mary's then, Alex Crook.
Yeah, Southampton 1, Newcastle 0. Penalty given. Sam Barrett, the referee, called over to have a second look by the VAR, Chris Kavanagh. I've got to say, I think it's pretty clear. It's a clumsy challenge from Joe Rebo. He arguably leads with his wrong leg, doesn't get the ball. I'm surprised the check took as long as it did before the penalty was awarded. It will be Alexander Isak, Newcastle's man of the moment, their leading goal scorer, to get Eddie Howe's men back on level terms here, up against Alex McCarthy, the stand-in Southampton goalkeeper. No Aaron Ramsdale this afternoon due to injury. Wolf whistles from those Southampton fans behind the goal away to my right. McCarthy bouncing on his line. Isak usually so calm and collected from 12 yards. Newcastle falling behind that Bednarek header. Here comes Isak, sends the keeper the wrong way, finds the bottom right corner. It is Southampton 1, Newcastle 1.
And the first championship goal of the 3 o'clocks goes in at the Hawthorns. Dave Rowe.
West Brom 1, Portsmouth 0. Alex Morris striking from outside the area, laid back by Dean Garner. Good strike by Mo, but real mistake by Schmidt in the Pompey goal. That should not have gone past him. It did. West Brom 1, Portsmouth 0.
I've got the Bristol City were 1-0 up against Blackburn through that. I just get so used to Scott Twine scoring worldies, I just kind of let it pass half the time. But yeah, Bristol City are in front against Blackburn. Let's check in at Brighton, where last I checked there were no goals there. Alfie Reynolds.
And it remains that way. Brighton 0, Everton 0. Biggest moment of note so far was Dominic Calvert-Lewin limping off early, holding his hamstring, but neither keeper have been worked so far. It's Brighton 0, Everton 0.
You're missing none of the action here at Anfield because Wes Burns is still lying in some distress, and the stretcher has been called for to lift the Welshman up and off the pitch. Ben Johnson is already stripped and ready to come on as a replacement for Wes Burns, and this is not what you want to see. It was Burns making the challenge on Gakpo, but he came off worse and stayed down. It's currently Liverpool 1, Ipswich 0. For the latest odds, you can head to Betfair, the official betting partner of TalkSport's Premier League coverage, where right now you can get Liverpool at 20-1 on to win. The draw is 14-1. If you fancy an Ipswich comeback to win, that's priced at 50-1. That's all thanks to Betfair, who are paying out winning bets at 90 minutes with 90-minute guarantee. Terms and conditions apply. 18+. BeGambleAware.org. So whilst Burns continues to get treatment, I remind you the Premier League scores: Bournemouth lead Forest by 1-0. Liverpool 1-0 up here in our live commentary at Anfield. Southampton 1, Newcastle 1, Wolves 0, Arsenal 0. Man City Chelsea is at 5:30. The goals in the Championship, Bristol City are 1 up against Blackburn, and West Brom 1-0 up against Portsmouth. All the other games are definitely goalless. The 3 o'clocks in League 2 games with goals: Burton 1, Rotherham 1, Lincoln 1, Peterborough 0. Stockport have taken the lead against Crawley at Edgeley Park. Wigan 1, Bristol Rovers 0. And the games with goals in the 3 o'clocks in League 2: Chesterfield 0, Port Vale 1, Crewe 0, Accrington 1, Fleetwood 0, Carlisle 1, and Tranmere 1, Gillingham 0. India 16-1 in the second over in reply to England's 165 in the second T20 International in Chennai. Live ball-by-ball coverage of that reply is over on TalkSport 2 right now, and there's lots of other live sport across the weekend. We have Fulham Manchester United tomorrow night here on TalkSport in the Premier League. Over on TalkSport 2 you've got Premiership Rugby at tea time from 5 o'clock. Sale Sharks against Bath, and then it's the NFL Championship games in the NFC and AFC Championship games right the way through from 7 o'clock to about 3 o'clock in the morning if you fancy staying up late and listening to see who makes it through to Super Bowl 59. Burns still about to be left on the stretcher And we have a goal at Deepdale in the Championship meantime for TalkSport's Matt Jones.
And it's Preston 1, Middlesbrough 0. This is an absolute perler from Stefan Tordarson. He breaks down the left wing. He cuts inside onto the area. There's half a thought of passing inside, but instead he whips a shot into the far corner. It curls around Tom Glover and nestles in the back of the net. A brilliant strike, worthy of taking the lead. Preston 1, Middlesbrough 0.
Wes Burns just being lifted onto the stretcher here, and the St John's ambulance will shortly pick him up. That's what they've just done now. That's what the applause is for. So whilst he's being taken off the field, let's check back in quickly at Molineux on TalkSport with Adam Bridge.
Yeah, 29 minutes played here. It remains Wolves 0, Arsenal 0, but Arsenal should be in front. Trossard again from that left-hand side. It's a peachy cross. Havertz, an absolute sitter, about 8 yards out, and he's put it straight in the legs of Sarr, who made a really good save, but Havertz should really have done better. Wolves 0, Arsenal 0.
And we'll check it at Bournemouth as well whilst we're at it with Ian Abrahams.
Bournemouth 1, Forest 0. Justin Kluivert's goal, but could have been 2 a couple of minutes ago. Lovely work by Antoine Semenyo, right hand side of the area. Matt Sells down to his right hand side to make a smart save. Referees having an inconsistent afternoon here. Bournemouth 1, Forest 0.
Back underway here at Anfield. Ball's out of play for a Liverpool throw. Another goal at St Mary's in the Premier League. Alex Crook.
And another goal for the visitors. Southampton 1, Newcastle 2, and it's that man Alexander Isak at the double, but he owes an awful lot here to a brilliant slide ball pass from Jacob Murphy. Totally took the Saints defence out of the game, and it's a really good finish into the bottom corner, side-footed. Southampton 1, Newcastle 2.
First thing Troy Deeney did was show me his fantasy football squad, which contains Isak. Who knew that he was a decent player and you put him in your 11? Oh, no idea. Troy, of course, was bigging up Isak as the sort of player that Manchester United would be do well to be looking at.
Mate, every top club in world football could do with a striker like him. He's excellent, in my opinion. This vein of form is the best number 9 in world football, and Newcastle are going to be probably inundated with £100 million offers over the next couple of weeks.
Think of a number and double it probably at this rate. So Newcastle have turned it around at St Mary's. Leyton Orient have the lead against Reading in League One. No winning 3 for either of those teams. 8th against 7th, but Dylan Markanday, once of Spurs, has given the O's the lead at Brisbane Road. 1-0, half an hour gone, but there's going to be a fair old chunk of added time at the end of this first half because of a good 3 minutes where Wes Burns was getting treatment before being stretchered off. But Ben Johnson's on to replace him, and Ipswich have a throw in their right back area of the pitch. They're attacking the Kop in this first half. Well, I say they're attacking the Kop in this first half. They've had very little size of the Kop end in these opening 31 minutes, Troy Deeney.
Yeah, and I think it's interesting that they've gone and put Johnson right in there in midfield as a right winger as well. Naturally a right back or right centre back by choice, and sometimes they played centre midfield, so just looking like they're maybe not too sure on the fitness of Cisco, who they've got in from Brighton, because he would have been a natural replacement, and I don't think they want to get too expansive too early. So interested to see how this right side develops when Liverpool have the ball.
Yeah, Johnson is ahead of Twanzebe. Great work from Ryan Gravenberg to hold off Sam Morsey, and then Salah beats Davis to the loose ball just over the halfway line, threads it through the idea for Szoboszlai. Oh, he couldn't control the ball as it ran across his body, and Ipswich were able to get it half clear. Ball squirts away from the Ipswich midfield, and Liverpool have it again down the left hand side with Andy Robertson up to the edge of the area. McAllister tries to fire it in, it's half cleared by the Ipswich defence. Will be off for a championship goal in a moment, but Liverpool pressing hard again, looking for a second goal here with 13 minutes to half time on TalkSport. Mo Salah up against Davis into the area, goes for a left-footed shot, and it's headed away by Jacob Greaves. That goal's gone in the championship at the Hawthorns, Dave Rowe.
West Brom 2, Portsmouth 0. Grady Diangana with the strike. Second mistake by Schmidt in the Portsmouth goal. Good play by Mikey Johnston, left hand side, got free of 2 challenges. His shot bounced back off Schmidt and straight to Diangana. West Brom 2, Portsmouth 0.
Tony Mowbray looking for his first win back for a second spell in charge at the Baggies. It's 1-0 here to Liverpool against Ipswich. Cheltenham leads Salford City by a goal to nil in League 2. Tommy Backwell with the goal for the Robins. Ipswich just bring the ball away from the edge of their own penalty area. There's 3 up in this move as Omar Hutchinson clips it into the Liverpool half, and Delap running out to the right hand side. He's taken Konate with him, and is he pushed over by Konate? Well, he's done well to hold on to the ball as he gets to the byline, just runs out of room, and it ends up being a goal kick to Liverpool as Coventry City take the lead against beleaguered Watford. Victor Torp with a goal at the CBS Arena, and Troy Deeney to my right just casually shakes his head.
I was just thinking as well, do you remember earlier on I said this is going to be a massive lesson for Liam Delap in his development. That's the perfect example of it. He's just got put down the channel, he's running into a corner, big Konate comes steaming in, holds his ground, but then just used his body enough where Liam has to fall over and ends up giving a goal kick away. Nobody else in the Premier League's doing that against him. Maybe the Arsenal centre-backs, and that's it.
Salah twisting, turning down the right-hand side, gets the cross into the near post, and Walton couldn't hold it. But there were Ipswich defenders around him who could thump it clear before any red shirts got to the loose ball. And the ball goes up to halfway, and Ipswich have got everybody in their own defensive third at the moment, as it's wave after Liverpool attacks. Gakpo now with a cross from the right to the far post. Salah! 2-0! It had to come because they've been pressing, and Mo Salah almost inevitably gets his 19th goal of the season. The ball from Gakpo was just delicious from the left-hand corner of the area, drifting overheads, landing at the far post for Salah from a tight angle, but he doesn't worry about tight angles. He can score from almost anywhere, this bloke. Mo Salah makes it Liverpool 2, Ipswich 0.
It's a wonderful ball. I was just about to say to you as well, Dads, you can feel that the Liverpool have just, this little break in play has actually made it better for Liverpool. They've regrouped and they're going again. Great play from Gakpo, cuts it on that from the left hand side onto his right foot, edge of the area, just puts that delicious ball just into that back post area. Goalkeeper can't come. Sabozar jumps with two, it misses all three of them, lands at Salah's feet, and I actually thought he should have squared it because Diaz was there for a tap-in, but Mo Salah knows how to score goals a lot better than me. Puts it in at that near post into the high area. Great goal. Unfortunately for Ipswich now, how many can you keep it under before half-time?
We've still got 10 minutes plus a fair old slab of added time to come before we reach the half-time whistle here on TalkSport. Mo Salah scores his 234th Liverpool goal.
Not bad, is it?
And his 400th English career appearance. You might remember, well, blinkingly missed his time at Chelsea under Jose Mourinho before he was farmed off away from Stamford Bridge. But that's 20 plus goals in 8 consecutive seasons for Mo Salah.
Ridiculous. Really, really, really good numbers. Great numbers, in fact. You'd like to think you wouldn't let him go for free, would you, Dads?
Funny that, isn't it? Yeah, you wouldn't let a player like that go down to the final year of his contract, would you? No. Lincoln City 2, Peterborough 0 at the LNER. Tom Bayliss with a second for the Imps, and Stockport in the same division have doubled their lead at home to Crawley. Macaulay Southam Hales with the second for the Hatters, and 2-0 here to Liverpool. We've got 9 minutes to half-time on TalkSport. Ian Danter and Troy Deeney with you, high up in the main stand here at Anfield. And it's the Anfield Road to our immediate left that's seen pretty much all the action in this first half. Troy Deeney.
Yeah, unfortunately for Ipswich, we've not even mentioned Philogene naime once from an attacking point of view. I think as well, this is difficult. I've been in this situation when you get promoted and you're looking at these big games. I don't think we ever had Man City and then Liverpool back to back in my time there, but these are character builders now. If they lost a big number the other day.
Gravenberch just picks it up, centre field, works it out to Salah, right hand corner of the box, drills it into the area. Greaves went to ground and got it clear, but it diverted straight back to Salah, who's scrapping for possession with Philogene, and then he's helped out by Alexander-Arnold, who wins it back and finds Gravenberch, edge of the area, right hand side. Elects not to go for goal, just plays it back to square to Robertson. Now Gakpo again, left hand side, cutting in field now to the centre of the half. Square ball for Konate, out to the right wing. Alexander-Arnold and Salah in combination on the chip ball from Salah, under hit and volleyed clear, and Delap's on the charge for Ipswich, but the ball bounces over his head as he tried to run through. That sums up his first half. Another goal in the Championship at the Hawthorns. Dave Rowe.
West Brom 3, Portsmouth 0. Jeb Wallace gets his first goal of the season. Portsmouth falling apart here. Dean Garner allowed to run from halfway and then play a perfect ball into the penalty area. Wallace beat the keeper. West Brom 3, Portsmouth 0.
And that's after back-to-back wins for Portsmouth. I'll be down at Fratton Park on Tuesday for their game against Millwall, live on TalkSport 2. Millwall got a win today at Luton at lunchtime. First win for Alex Neil since he went back in to football management. You're listening to Liverpool 2, Ipswich 0 on TalkSport with Enterprise Rent-A-Car. Enterprise has 450 branches with all the vehicles your business needs. So in the Premier League, Bournemouth still 1-0 up on Nottingham Forest. Arsenal still 0-0 at Wolves. We'll check back in at Molineux in just a tick. Goalless at the Amex, and Newcastle have come from behind to lead 2-1 at Southampton. Free kick to Liverpool as McAllister was brought down, just heading towards the left-hand corner of the penalty area. Ben Johnson just being given a bit of a ticking off from referee Salisbury, and this is another dangerous position for Liverpool to try and exploit here, Troy.
Yeah, you just feel that Ipswich need to weather this storm getting into half-time, because right now it's just wave after wave of attack. They've got no possession of the ball, no real attacking threat. A lot for Kieran McKenna to do, especially coming off that massive defeat last week as well.
I make it 71% possession that Liverpool have had in these opening 39 minutes. So a free kick for either Robertson or Gakpo to swing in. Robertson looks favourite to clip it in left-footed from this left-hand side. Ipswich holding their line just inside the 18-yard area. Played to the far post and headed down for Hutchinson to get it clear. Goal in the Championship at Ashton Gate, Lawrence Mora.
Bristol City 1, Blackburn 1. Andy Vyman against his old club, tapping home after Gay's header had rebounded off the post. He was totally unmarked, 3 yards out, could not miss. Bristol City 1, Blackburn 1.
Well, Liam Delap's just gone down wanting a penalty, nothing doing here at Anfield, but there is a penalty on TalkSport at the Amex. Alfie Reynolds.
Well, 40 minutes played, Brighton 0, Everton 0, but Everton have a penalty here. Joel Veltman is deemed, after Tim Robinson, the referee, consulted the pitch side monitor, to have deliberately diverted the ball behind with his hand. They've just played a replay up on the big screen. The home fans don't like it. I don't think there can be too many complaints. It was a ball in behind. Veltman had Beto at his back. He was struggling to get to the ball. He did, and then as he was going to ground, there's a clear movement of the arm towards the ball to knock it behind for a corner, and it means that Everton here have a penalty. Verbruggen has picked up a yellow card for his protests, but what an opportunity for David Moyes' side to take the lead here as we enter the final 5 minutes of the first half. It's going to be Iliman Ndiaye to take the penalty, which is in front of the Brighton fans to the left-hand side as I look at things, bouncing the ball. And Ndiaye, a brilliant performance from him last week in victory over Tottenham. And having lost Dominic Calvert-Lewin in the early stages of this game, one of their main attacking threats, Everton still with a chance to take the lead. We're going to get there. Ndiaye places the ball on the spot. Tim Robinson tells Verbruggen to get back on his line. The fans behind the goal waving to put off the Everton man. Penalty for Everton here at the Amex. Ndiaye puts it in the corner and Everton lead. Verbruggen dived the right way but couldn't get a hand on it, and it is Everton that lead. Brighton 0, Everton 1.
2-0 to Liverpool here at Anfield on TalkSport, and they're coming forward again with Luis Diaz. Less than 4 minutes plus added time to half-time. Andy Robertson down this near side gives it back to Diaz, having to turn away from the attentions of Sam Morsey, the Ipswich captain. Rides the challenge of Hutchinson, and then just leaves it for Mo Salah, standing just in front of the centre circle. Quick left-footed pass to Robertson, who floats the ball into the box, looking for the run of Diaz, who got back into the penalty area. Cleared away, but only as far as Virgil van Dijk steers it out to Gakpo, left-hand side, coming in again on that right foot as he did when he set up Salah for Liverpool's second. Konate has it again, shovels it out to Alexander-Arnold on the right-hand side. Salah inevitably in support, tucks it back infield to Alexander-Arnold, and he tried to set Salah away down the right-hand side of the box, but they just got a bit mixed up there, did Liverpool, and the ball's back with Christian Walton. Burton 3, Rotherham 1 in League 1. John Daddy Bodvarsson with another for the Brewers. Barrow, who sacked Stephen Clements after they lost at Swindon last weekend, they lead Grimsby by a goal to nil. Robbie Gotts with the goal for Barrow, and it's 2-0 here to Liverpool, and Ipswich have the ball in their own penalty area with goalkeeper Christian Walton, all in yellow this afternoon, firing it downfield, intended for Jaden Philogene, but easily won back by Alexander-Arnold. McAllister steps into the centre circle and feeds Gravenberch, running down the inside right channel. Salah ahead of him, 3 waiting for a cross. One of them is Szoboszlai, brilliant save, but Gakpo tucks in the rebound to make it 3. The flag does not go up, and Liverpool do have that third that they've been searching for ahead of the break. There were 3 waiting for a cross as it came in from the right. Szoboszlai had the first effort, Walton managed to keep it out, but right on the spot in front of goal, Gakpo tucked it home, and Liverpool are powering clear, not just in this game but at the top of the Premier League. Liverpool 3, Ipswich 0.
My initial thought was that Szoboszlai was offside, but Tuanzebe is about 7 yards behind everybody else. Lovely little ball into him from Gravenberch as he rolls it in. Szoboszlai, great shot, good save from the keeper. Unfortunately, Gakpo, like all good strikers, is on the move, he's on his way in, taps it into an empty net. As we said, this is going to get really, really painful for Ipswich very, very quickly.
Well, 3-0 here to Ipswich. And we've got a red card at Molineux. Adam Bridge.
We have Wolves 0, Arsenal 0. It's Arsenal who are down to 10 men, and it's Miles Lewis-Skelly who's been sent off by referee Michael Oliver. It came from an Arsenal corner. Rice swung the ball in, it was half cleared, and then Matt Doherty was about to break out from the edge of the penalty area, and Lewis-Skelly has tripped him up probably about 5 or 6 yards outside the edge of the penalty area, and Michael Oliver has gone straight to his pocket and pulled the red card out. It's not for obviously a goal scoring opportunity, it's so deep inside the Wolves half. It must purely be because of dangerous play, but we will find out. We'll get the lowdown on it. 0-0 here still as we head towards 45 minutes.
And the goal pig on TalkSport this afternoon is at the Hawthorns. Dave Rowe.
West Brom 4, Portsmouth 0. West Brom haven't scored 4 all season. They have done in one half here. Grady Diangana is second of the game. Long ball forward by Holgate. Terrible Portsmouth defending. Trying to play offside. It wasn't. Diangana in behind and beat Schmid. West Brom 4, Portsmouth 0.
Mind you, we're not far behind the goal pig Dave Rowe with the 3 we've got here at Anfield, in fairness to Dave. I've been reminded that Barrow do have a new manager, of course, Andy Wing, who left Solihull Moors in the week. And we were talking about Matt Taylor, one of your old colleagues, getting the job at Solihull, who was at Wealdstone before that.
Yep, with my pal Adrian Mariappa at 39 years old, he's still going strong. Fair play to you, sir.
So all change in League One and League Two in managerial matters. But Barrow are in front. West Brom 4 up, as you've just heard. Liverpool 3 up here, and we're just moving into 7 minutes of minimum stoppage time. If you're just tuning in wondering what that's for, it's because Wes Burns, the Ipswich midfielder, was down for some considerable time with a knee injury, had to be stretchered off in the end. Ben Johnson on for him. Here come Liverpool again, firing the ball down the right hand side. Alexander-Arnold was looking for Salah. It so nearly snaked its way through to him, but Leif Davis slid in and kept the ball away from the Egyptian. Ball up to halfway. Van Dijk just seemed to have all the time in the world to leap in the air and cushion a header down for a teammate.
Have you noticed there though, Dance, as the lap now starts to lose a little bit of life in himself? He's not even going for the headers now because he knows he can't win it. And trust me, I've been there. It's so demoralising when you've not touched the ball, your team's losing 3-0. Every wave of attack looks like, I wish I was on the other team, but it's just getting physical.
Mo Salah weaving his way into the area, tries to play it across the face of goal, looking for Diaz, but Greaves got a foot in. And Ipswich try and bring it clear with Philogene. Neat flick in field for Delap, gives it back to Philogene down the left hand side. Got shoved in the back there by Ibrahima Konate on halfway. So Ipswich do have a free kick. And I take it, Troy, you're talking about, there's Liam Delap as a young kid just starting out the game. Age is no barrier to that sort of feeling.
Oh, absolutely not. No
inferiority. No,
and it's also it's demoralising. You want to showcase at the big games at Anfield as a kid. This is what you dream about. But you don't get to do it because your team's just not up to the fight, and Ipswich are just going to be going longer and longer as this game goes on, deeper and deeper, kicking the ball longer and longer into the lap, so he can't showcase what he really wants to do, which is show that he belongs on the top table.
Tranmere 1, Gillingham 1 in League 2. Jordan Turnbull equalises. That's an own goal, putting Gillingham level. And Blackpool 3-0 up at Exeter. Former West Ham hitman Ashley Fletcher has got a third. That's a long trip down for the Seasiders fans down to Devon, but they're enjoying themselves there. Exeter 0, Blackpool 3 in League 1. 3-0 here to Liverpool, with 2 minutes of the minimum 7 added on at the end of this first half having gone. Salah takes a quick throw down for Alexander-Arnold. It's all I can do not to call him Alexander Armstrong. I did it once in a game and it's stuck in my mind ever since. Andy Robertson finds Luis Diaz, midway point of the Ipswich half. Ipswich just been praying for the half-time whistle, but it's nowhere near coming yet as Salah has it again up against Leif Davis, knocks it back for Alexander-Arnold. Oh, he tried to thread it back through two Ipswich players to find Salah in the area, and between Phillips and Davis they got enough on it to keep it away from Salah. But you heard Troy Deeney's reaction to the actual intention of the pass from Alexander-Arnold.
Because it's one of those passes that you do in training, you'd never think to do about it in a game. He sold the eyes as if he's going to whiff a crossing, and then he's just straightened up his foot and just punched one, tried to go between two players. If that would have went through to Salah, which it nearly did, it'd have been one-on-one, it would have argued been a goal. It probably would have been an assist of the season. It's so delicate and so intentional with what Trent just did there.
Go on.
I just wanted to paint a picture for the listener. Everything at the moment, the furthest defending that we've seen from Virgil van Dijk at the moment is 35 yards inside the Ipswich half.
Yeah.
It is all Liverpool, and every single one of them is so comfortable with and without the ball at the moment that Ipswich are they're just being suffocated through possession and through where everyone's starting position is.
And when they try and win the ball, as they just did there through Sam Morsey, they clip Alexis McAllister, and Morsey, who's not backward in coming forward, gets to his feet, has a bit of a remonstrate with Alexis McAllister. Liverpool are on this fantastic run, 17 unbeaten in the Premier League, 12 wins, 5 draws. It's their longest unbeaten run in the league since the late 1800s. It's an extraordinary run that Liverpool are on at the moment, and it's that classic case right now. We're in the 50th minute. Every Liverpool player wants the ball.
Yeah, absolutely does. And also as well, the frustration that's growing with like Diaz being in the middle of the park is that he hasn't had a shot yet.
Here's Soboslai, got it going early on for Liverpool. Out to the right hand side, Alexander-Arnold drills it in. Diaz goes for a diving header and just can't quite connect. The ball across the area, drilled across from Alexander-Arnold, so nearly found Luis Diaz, who gamely threw himself at the ball at the far stick, but it only came off the top of his head and went behind for a goal kick. Liverpool 3-0 up.
This is a pleasure. It's a pleasure to watch. But when Trent is playing like this and he's zinging balls from left to right, this is a pleasure. I'd pay a lot of money just to be here.
Now, Jason Cundy was saying on the Sports Bar on Tuesday night that Liverpool are boring him to watch.
Well, Jason's got too much time on the back of that motorbike, I think, going from Chelsea to the news building. He's got a little bit of wind in his head. I said it earlier when we was talking with Adrian. It's impossible to call this Liverpool team boring. All they do is score 3 or 4 a game, and every time they're winning. What's boring about that? It's probably predictable. I think it's because he's watching this Chelsea team that can't defend and then miss 17 chances a game.
I wanted to ring him up. So were Jose's Chelsea ever boring to watch? Jay's back with Jamie O'Hara on the game day phone-in at 5:30 tonight on Talk Sport. Liverpool fans, why don't you give Jason a call? Robertson out to the left-hand side for Luis Diaz. We're edging towards the end of the 7 minutes minimum that were added on at the end of this first half. And Liverpool still in possession in the Ipswich half, as they have been practically the whole time. Soboslai looking for Salah, down to the byline, pulls it back. McAllister running away from goal, takes a touch. It's curled towards goal by Soboslai, and that was so close to number 4 from the Hungarian midfielder. Just caressed it with his left foot from the right-hand side of the box, and that can't have missed the far post by much. 3-0.
It's really good play down that right-hand side from Mo Salah, giving Leif Davis a torrid time in his first half. Cuts the ball back into McAllister, and he can't really get it under control, but with that break of touch, it comes to Soboslai on a really tight angle on his left-hand side. Just opens up his left foot, tries to bend it into the far post, and just goes wide of the post.
Whistle's gone for half-time. A first half of total authority from Liverpool as they lead Ipswich by 3-0. Dominic Soboslai got things going around the 10-minute mark with a left-footed shot drilled into the bottom corner. Mo Salah, well, of course he was going to score, he always does, and he got the second from a tight angle not long after. Cody Gakpo on the spot after Walton could only push out an effort from Soboslai late on in the half. Ipswich problems compounded by a serious-looking injury to Wes Burns in the first half. They're going to have to stand by to repel Borders in the second half, I think, Ipswich Town, because this could get worse. Half-time at Anfield on Talk Sport. Liverpool 3, Ipswich Town 0.
And we'll have the second half live. Troy is enjoying the Liverpool performance. Ipswich fans are not. Liverpool 3, Ipswich 0. It's half-time here at the Vitality as well. Alongside me, Ian Abrahams.
Bournemouth 1, Nottingham Forest 0. The goal scored by Justin Kluivert in the 10th minute, and it was basically due to Forest standing off and allowing him to shoot. He picked up the ball midway inside his own half, ran over halfway, looked for options. No defenders coming to challenge him, so when he was 25 yards out, invited to shoot by the whole of the crowd, he did so and picked out the bottom right-hand corner. Sells after that made good saves from Christie's vicious drive, and also a good effort by Semenya. At the other end, for all of Forest's efforts, only one by Ryan Yates from the edge of the penalty area forced Kepa into any sort of save at all. The referee's performance has been the most interesting talking point. He's booked players for non-bookable offences, not booked others where they should have been booked. Basically, Craig Pawson's had a nightmare, but Justin Kluivert hasn't, and his goal means at half-time it's Bournemouth 1, Nottingham Forest 0.
And just hit half-time in the game at Molineux. Here's Adam Bridge and Perry Groves.
Wolves 0, Arsenal 0 at half-time. A chance of Peach really to be in front in this game. Sarabia with a volley after a great run by Semedo down the right-hand side. He should have done better as he fired over. And Havertz with a really good opportunity from 8 yards out that he put straight at the legs of Jose Sarr after a brilliant cross from Trossard. The big story, though, as we approached half-time, the sending off of Miles Lewis-Skelly, a straight red card from referee Michael Oliver. Arsenal's fourth of this Premier League season, after it was a breakaway from an Arsenal corner. Doherty was leading the run. He was about 5 or 6 yards outside the Wolves box at the time, and Skelly hacked him down, and in the view of the referee Michael Oliver, who went straight to his pocket for the red card, it was serious foul play. It was backed up by VAR. Here is Perry Groves.
I'm going to try obviously be very, very subjective, but I've looked at it and that's a different angle. That's one of the most ridiculous sending off I think I've seen, because it's a trip from Lewis Skelly. Everybody in the stadium took a breath, didn't they, Ad? Everybody went, what? Couldn't believe it, and they're going to try and justify it some way. They might say serious foul play. It isn't. He's actually tripped him up. It's a professional foul. He should be yellow carded. I think that the VAR down in England, he's frightened of Michael Oliver, because Michael Oliver is higher up in the refereeing hierarchy, and he should be saying, just go and have a look at it just to make sure you think it's what you think you've seen, because I'm absolutely amazed. If that's the sending off, then the game's gone. It's not a straight leg tackle, it's not a studs up tackle, it's a trip.
And that is how it stands at half-time. Arsenal down to 10 men for the second half. Wolves 0, Arsenal 0.
It's not like Arsenal fans to whine about a red card, but maybe Perry's got a point. He's watched it. We haven't. Let's take his word for it. Meantime, let's get half-time at St Mary's. Alex Crook.
Southampton 1, Newcastle 2. The home side took a shock lead in the 10th minute. James Bree with a cross from a right-hand side. Jan Bednarek, who'd stayed up for a previous free kick, planted his header beyond Dubravka and into the top corner. That lead lasted just 16 minutes. Newcastle scored twice in 4 minutes to turn the first half around. Alexander Isak converted from the penalty spot after a VAR check had rightly decided that Isak had been tripped on the edge of the 6-yard box by Joe Aribo, and then 4 minutes later Isak again racing onto a brilliant through ball from Jacob Murphy. His first touch was sublime to get the ball out from under his feet. His second to side foot in off the post was equally brilliant. Newcastle could have extended their lead. Bruno Guimaraes saw his shot hit the inside of the post, and Isak denied a first half hat-trick by an excellent save with the legs by Alex McCarthy, the closest Southampton got to getting back on level terms right at the end of the half. Carl Walker-Peters with the header wide. Southampton 1, Newcastle 2.
And half-time at Brighton as well. Alfie Reynolds.
Brighton 0, Everton 1. Illiman Ndiaye's penalty giving David Moyes' side the lead. What a start to his second tenure so far. It was Joel Veltman who was penalised for a handball as he deliberately diverted it behind for a corner, given after the ref went to the pitch side monitor. Now the home fans weren't happy. They felt Veltman was pushed before that. I'm not so sure about that, and either way a moment of madness from the fullback. And Everton will be especially glad because early in the half Dominic Calvert-Lewin, he limped off. It looked like a hamstring injury, could be a big blow. Half time though, Brighton 0, Everton 1.
Let's rattle around the grounds in the Championship to the Stadium of Light. Graham Courtney.
Yeah, where it's Sunderland 0, Plymouth 0. Don't be fooled by the scoreline. This has been a really, really good game. Best chance that actually came after 22 minutes for Plymouth. Gift by the Sunderland keeper Anthony Patterson. He's dropped a clanger, not for the first time. Scuffed his clearance out to the Plymouth midfielder Adam Randall. He's about midway inside the Sunderland half. Tried to lob the keeper, but you know what? Patterson was so lucky. Randall underclubbed it. Went straight back to Patterson. But you know what? The 800 Argyle fans, they'll have enjoyed that on their 16-hour round trip on a coach. Sunderland 0, Plymouth 0.
And it's half-time at Ashton Gate. Lawrence Mora.
Bristol City 1, Blackburn 1. Death taxes and Scott Twine from a free kick as he whipped the ball Beckham-esque over the visitors' wall and into the net. The equaliser came from an ex-City favourite, Andy Vyman. He's scored more than 50 goals during his time here in BS3. Well, he tapped home from just a few yards out after Maktar Gay's header had bounced off the post. All to play for in the second half. Bristol City 1, Blackburn 1.
It's a home banker at the Hawthorns, Dave Rowe.
West Brom 4, Portsmouth 0. Uneventful for 25 minutes, and a big mistake by Pompey keeper Schmidt, who helped an Alex Mowat shot into the net. The visitors then collapsed defensively. Grady Diangana made it 2 after another keeper error. He then played in Jeb Wallace for the third before Diangana broke the offside trap to grab his second. Albion in total control. West Brom 4, Portsmouth 0.
Half-time at Deepdale in the Championship, Matt Jones.
And it's Preston 1, Middlesbrough 0 at the break. Stefan Tordarson scoring his first goal in English football to separate the two teams, and it was a lovely strike as well, getting down the left wing before cutting in on his right foot and bending a shot around the defender, around the goalkeeper and in at the far post. Bad news for Middlesbrough though is that Latte Lath limped off injured in the 11th minute. He has been subject of a transfer bid this month. Well, that could be something that scuppers it. It is at the break, Preston 1, Middlesbrough 0.
Going to bring you all the half times very shortly, but let's get the latest from Betfair, the official betting partner of TalkSport's Premier League coverage.
Game day on TalkSport with Betfair. We're paying out winning bets at 90 minutes with 90-minute guarantee. Applies to match odds. 90 market sportsbook exclusive. T's and C's apply. 18 plus. Gambleaware.org.
So our live exclusive Premier League commentary on TalkSport is Liverpool 3, Ipswich 0 at half-time. Ipswich to come back and win, unlikely, 500 to 1. Liverpool to win 6-0 is 6 to 1. Or if you fancy Ipswich to be the next team to score, that's 4 to 1. That odds update, all thanks to Betfair. 18 plus. Be gambleaware.org.
Game day on TalkSport with Betfair. We're paying out winning bets at 90 minutes with 90-minute guarantee. Applies to match odds. 90 market sportsbook exclusive. T's and C's apply.
Denali to race in completely unmarked in behind their back four, and it's a really cool finish beyond McCarthy and into the bottom corner. Southampton 1, Newcastle 3, should be game over.
Memories of that disappointing home performance against Bournemouth live on TalkSport last Saturday, just drifting into the distance for Newcastle United with that big win that they're getting at Southampton. Liverpool 3-0 up here, 3 minutes into the second half on TalkSport. Burton Albion 4 rather than 1 in League One. JJ McKiernan gets a 4th for the Brewers. Barnet 2-0 up on Maidenhead in the National League. Cody Gakpo for Liverpool, level with the edge of the Ipswich penalty area, down the left with Liverpool all in red, attacking the Kop as they love to do in the second half. The Kop away to our right from our vantage point high up in the main stand here at Anfield. Gravenberch has the ball in the centre of the Ipswich half, and there's nobody behind him other than the goalkeeper Alisson. Ipswich hemmed in their own defensive third as Alexander-Arnold picks it up right hand side, finds Mo Salah. Salah back in field via Alexander-Arnold to Ibrahima Konate, into the feet of McAllister, tried to fire it into the feet of Szoboszlai at the edge of the area, but hit too strongly even for the Hungarian. But as Philogene tried to race clear, across came Alexander-Arnold with a good defensive challenge to put it out for an Ipswich throw, 3-0.
The difficulty for Ipswich is, as that ball goes into Philogene there, he's 25, 30 yards out from his own goal. He would have to run past 5 Liverpool players and do a 70 yards with the ball before anyone could get to him, for him to even get a shot off. So it's a real difficult situation for Philogene and the wide players and the attacking players for Ipswich to even showcase what they can and can't do, because at this moment in time they're basically 11 defenders.
3-0 here to Liverpool. Championship goal at Deepdale, Matt Jones.
It's Preston 1, Middlesbrough 1. This is a brilliant goal. A lovely ball round the corner from Doak. Finds the goal scorer Delano Bergzorg. He leaves 2 defenders and the goalkeeper on their backside before slotting home in front of the travelling fans. Preston 1, Middlesbrough 1.
Liverpool fans will be happy to hear that Ben Doak's in good form. Corner here at Anfield to Liverpool as Twanzebe is forced to toe poke the ball behind under pressure from Alexis McAllister. Soboslai goes across to that far corner where the Kenny Dalglish stand meets the Kop to spot the ball down. It'll be a right-footed in-swinger from him. The 2 centre-halves, Konate and Van Dijk, just lurking near the penalty spot. Robertson at the edge of the D, waiting for any bits and pieces that might ricochet out his way. In comes the corner from Soboslai, headed out by Greaves. Does drop for Robertson, tries to head it back out to the left wing, and then it goes into the box. Gakpo trying to roll his foot on the ball. Ipswich do bring it clear, and Delap trying to go on the outside of the defender, just toe-poked it straight out of play. Not enjoying his afternoon too much out there, Liam Delap. No sign yet of Julio Enciso, the loan signing who arrived yesterday at Ipswich on loan from Brighton for the rest of the campaign. Liverpool 3-0 up, 6 minutes gone in the second half on TalkSport. Arsenal, remember, 0-0 but down to 10 men against Wolves. We'll check back in there shortly. They don't want to lose any further ground on Liverpool. As the ball swung in by Soboslai, looking for the run of Diaz, but just too close to Christian Walton, who could just pounce on top of the ball. Another goal at the Vitality in the Premier League. Ian Abrahams.
Bournemouth 2, Forest 0, goal for Dango Ouattara, scored last week at Newcastle. He's got another today, cross from the left-hand side, and at the back post, he won the header above Murillo. It's Bournemouth 2, Forest 0.
Andoni Iraola has got to be up there, along with the likes of his opposite number today, Nuno Espirito Santo, for Manager of the Year, with what he's doing with Bournemouth. Christian Walton been pressurised twice with a ball back to him inside his own 6-yard box, and both times it was Mo Salah who was trying to get close to him, but Ipswich do get the ball downfield, and Delap is in behind Konate, running into the area left-hand side. Konate nudges into him, down goes Delap. The Ipswich fans behind the goal to our left howl for a penalty kick, but it's waved away by the referee. Delap gets to his feet, Ipswich have it again. Jayden Philogene down this left-hand side for Ipswich in their first choice blue strip today, gets to the byline left-hand side, swings across in, only one player in the box, and that was Ben Johnson. And Delap, having gone down for that penalty, is just moving a little awkwardly, hurting his right foot or his right leg in that challenge with Konate, and he's just limping around awkwardly just outside the penalty area. Meantime, Ipswich coming forward with Morsey, infield for Calvin Phillips. He spots Philogene, left-hand corner of the box, floats it out to the new signing. Philogene wants to go for goal. It's struck against Andy Robertson, cleared away by Liverpool. Diaz trying to keep hold of the ball whilst he was on the deck. How on earth did he manage that? He was on the deck, he had 2 players around him and still managed to get back to his feet and keep possession. That's freaky. Ball's gone back to Christian Walton. Another goal at the Hawthorns for Dave Rowe.
West Brom 5, Portsmouth 0. John Swift scoring for the first time since last April. Great ball by Furlong to the left-hand side, picking out Johnston. Johnston then to the edge of the penalty area, and Swift slammed it home. West Brom 5, Portsmouth 0.
Right then, Lee the Baggy, if you're listening, ring Jamie O'Hara and Jason Cundy and tell them that Tony Mowbray doesn't know anything about the game, like he did with me years ago, because he happened to sell Jason Kumas, your favourite player. The game day phone-in with Jamie O'Hara and Jason Cundy is straight after Adrian's given you a full classified check, and you've heard from some of the headline makers this afternoon. Jamie and Jason will be taking your calls here on TalkSport from 5:30 tonight. Free kick to Liverpool, just shy of the halfway line. 8 minutes gone in the second half. They lead Ipswich Town by 3-0, and there's another goal at the Vitality. Ian Abrahams.
Bournemouth 3, Forest 0. A second goal of the afternoon for Justin Kluivert, and I'll tell you what, he's better than his old man. This is a mesmeric goal involving great foot movement, involving great body shape inside the box. It's all kicking off on the pitch with some of the Forest substitutes coming on, but Kluivert's goal is a 1 in a million effort. It really is, and Forest have been well beaten here on Nuno's 51st birthday. Bournemouth 3, Forest 0.
Happy birthday. And
Did he just say that Justin Kluivert was better than Patrick Kluivert? Like, I love the Moose.
Yeah, he did.
But that's
say
silly.
That. Here comes a cross from the left-hand side for Liverpool, looking for the run of Soboslai, but it was claimed by Christian Walton. Yes, that I do believe that went out on live radio. Yeah,
okay.
But
I hope Adrian's just giving him a little flick in the other ear.
Do you think?
I hope so.
He might have done.
I hope so.
Knowing Adrian as I do, he might have. Maybe a hard stare, maybe a nice Paddington hard stare went the Moose's way after that, at the very least. I've just been told that Jason Cundy is running scared of Liverpool. He's not doing the phone-in tonight. It's Jermaine Pennant,
you have to remember,
Liverpool player.
Chelsea are on at 5:30. That's why, isn't it?
Of course, yeah.
Cundy shows his real alliances.
So it's Jermaine Pennant alongside Jamie O'Hara. We've got a goal in the Championship and open at the Stadium of Light. Graham Courtney.
Didn't see this. Sunderland 0, Plymouth Argyle 1, and it's a simple case where Anthony Patterson's got to clear a ball and he didn't, and it's dropped really kindly to Ryan Hardy and he's shoved it in from close range. Sunderland 0, Plymouth Argyle 1.
A reminder that Plymouth's last league win was on the 5th of November. They lead by 1-0. The bottom side of the Championship at 4th place Sunderland. That's where they were at the start of the day. So 3-0 here to Liverpool, 3-0 to Bournemouth, 3-1 to Newcastle. Everton are ahead at Brighton, and it's still Wolves 0, Arsenal. Let's check in at Molineux in actual fact with this game 3-0 here to Liverpool. They're pulling further clear of Arsenal as things stand. Adam Bridge.
They are still Wolves 0, Arsenal 0. 10 minutes gone in the second half. Declan Rice with the only decent effort this half. He stung the hands of Jose Sarr away to our left-hand side. Half-time change for Arsenal was seen Calafiori come on to replace Nwaneri as they try to shore things up. And actually, based on the first 10 minutes of the second half, it looks like Arsenal have got the extra man, but they haven't. They're the ones who are down to 10, and it remains Wolves 0, Arsenal 0.
Well, he might be better than his dad, but his dad didn't have VAR to worry about. Back to the Vitality, Ian Abrahams.
No, I hate VAR. Bournemouth 2, Forest 0. Kluivert's wonder goal's been disallowed because Ouattara, who passed the ball back to him right at the end, was standing in an offside, but only just offside, only a little bit offside, ref. Oh dear, Bournemouth 2, Forest 0.
Goals as they're ruled out on Talk Sport this Saturday afternoon on Game Day Live. Ian Dancer and Troy Deeney at Anfield, where Liverpool are just passing the ball around. They're just casually keeping Ipswich at arm's length as Alexander Arnold swirls the ball into the ball. Oh, a mess between Walton and Tuanzebe and Johnson, and they get away with it, Ipswich, as both players went to ground inside the 6-yard box, but the ball diverted away from any red shirts in the box there.
Excellent ball from Trent with his left foot this time. Cuts in from the right hand side onto his left foot, just puts a lovely little delicate ball into that back post. Keeper thinks he's got it. Tuanzebe doesn't want to leave it because behind him is Cody Gakpo to tap in for his second of the game, and they just about get away with it. But again, Liverpool, this is why Cundy's saying that they're boring. They're just dominating, they're suffocating, and at any moment they can score again, and there's nothing that Ipswich can do about it.
Kanate for Liverpool got a Championship goal elsewhere in just a moment, but meantime Alexander Arnold, right hand corner of the penalty area, has Salah in support, looking to drop the shoulder on Connor Townsend, works it back into the area for McAllister. Ipswich win it back. There is a goal at the Vitality again. Maybe this one does count. Ian Abrahams.
Bournemouth 3, Forest 0. It's Dango Ouattara this time has the second goal, and he's got some brilliant skills, good skills with his feet for a big man. On the left hand side, cut one way, then the defenders didn't know what he was doing. Smart finish inside the far post. Sells with no chance. It's Bournemouth 3, Forest 0. Forest have been a shambles second half.
I'm willing to bet that Dango Ouattara is better than his dad. Ipswich coming forward at 3-0 down. Jayden Philogene into the area. Townsend on the overlap, plays it across the face of goal, but the Liverpool volley clear A goal at the Stadium of Light. Graham Courtney.
Yeah, 2 goals in 2 minutes. Sunderland 1, Plymouth Argyle 1. And the goal machine for Sunderland, Wilson Isidore, and he's hammered it in from the edge of the D. Terrific goal. Sunderland 1, Argyle 1.
Ipswich have won a corner. They're claiming for handball, actually, as the ball was sent in for the right-hand corner of the area of the Ipswich players, but Michael Salisbury's not giving them much attention for that one. So Ipswich have a corner at the Anfield Road end, and the 3,000 Ipswich fans who've made the trek up from Suffolk and across to Anfield still making plenty of noise for their team. These are the sort of trips that they would have been looking forward to as much as any, having got back into the Premier League for the first time in a generation. But it's not enjoyable at the present moment as we approach the hour.
Travelled well though as well, haven't they, Dan? There's a lot of them here, and they're not giving their team any stick.
Townsend whips the corner kick in, but Robertson heads clear. Amari Hutchinson brings it down 30 yards out, makes space for a shot, and that's the first thing that Alisson's had to do all afternoon in the Liverpool goal, and it was a comfortable save low down to his right. Let's update you from the Amex in the Premier League. Talk Sports, Alfie Reynolds.
Well, 59 minutes gone, Brighton 0, Everton 1. Jorginho Ruta, a half-time replacement for Brighton, and it's been much more positive in the second half. They look far more threatening. Matoma flashing a shot just wide, and João Pedro with a blocked effort which looped over. It's all Brighton at the moment as they look for an equaliser. Brighton 0, Everton 1.
Liverpool coming forward on the hour mark on Talk Sport. Out it goes to Dominic Szoboszlai on the right-hand side, attacking the Kop end. The stadium in full voice, as you can hear around us on Merseyside. Van Dijk goes out to the left-hand side for Cody Gakpo, who darts in field, chips the ball into the area, headed up and away by Greaves, but Konate there again to keep possession for Liverpool. Van Dijk strutting towards the edge of the penalty area. Plays a 1-2 with Andy Robertson. Alisson's doing stretching exercises in his own half, just trying to keep himself interested. Out to the right side it goes, and Mo Salah will be doing Pilates in a minute. Here's Alexander Arnold. Oh, nutmegs Calvin Phillips, gets into the area, across the face of goal, and it's turned away by the Ipswich defence. Calvin Phillips was back there defending, and they get the ball out of play. Liverpool with a real swagger on at the minute. They lead 3-0. Let's get team news from the 5:30 kickoff at the Etihad in the Premier League. Man City Chelsea, reporting there for TalkSport, Mickey Gray.
Well, all three new signings for Manchester City involved Omar Mamouche and Abdulkadir Kusanov come straight into the starting 11. Victor Reis is on the bench, and De Bruyne, Diaz and Savinho left out. For Chelsea, 3 changes. Sancho, Fernandes and Colwell come back into the starting 11. Tosun, Dewsbury Hall and Neto all move to the bench. Manchester City against Chelsea.
Thanks, Mickey. Regular updates on that game with Jamie O'Hara and Jermaine Pennant on the game day phone-in straight after our coverage here from Anfield, and when Adrian's giving you the full classified check, and you've heard from some of the headline makers. We'll get down to the tunnel here at full time, and hopefully you'll hear from Arne Slot or Kieran McKenna, or maybe both, by the time we get to about 5:30 on TalkSport. Liverpool 3-0 up and in control. Still over 70% possession as Alexander Arnold tries to swing it across from the right-hand side. Townsend didn't know where it was. It hit him, went straight up in the air, and he lost the flight of it. Alexander Arnold flicks it impudently in field, looking for Gakpo, but it goes out of play for an Ipswich throw. Cardiff City lead Derby County by a goal to 0. That's 20th against 21st at the start of play. Callum Robinson. Derby have lost their last 5 in the league. Cardiff 7 unbeaten under Omar Risa. That's a big goal in the Championship towards the bottom of the table at the Cardiff City Stadium. You're just listening to Liverpool 3, Ipswich 0 on TalkSport with Sky Sports. Don't forget, you can stream the biggest Premier League games available with no contract on Now, like Manchester City against Chelsea, live today. Search Now Sports. I don't think I heard Omar Mamouche's name in Mickey's update on that Manchester City team news. And I heard Paul Hawksby in the week say that's a perfect name for Del Boy to use in Only Fools and Horses. Paul and Andy, Hawksby and Jacobs back on Monday on TalkSport. Alexander Arnold tries to fire an across from the right-hand side, but Ipswich defend it well again, and it's cleared downfield. Adrian Durham, cover your ears. Lincoln City 4, Peterborough United 1. An own goal from Kean Hayes this time extends the Imps lead. It's going to be changes for Liverpool in just a moment. May well be Harvey Elliott getting a run out, as he's just putting his red number 19, top on. Here's Dominic Szoboszlai, who scored the first this afternoon. Well, he went for goal from the centre of the half. Oh, Marmoush starts. I didn't miss that because we had something in my ear. So Omar Marmoush is starting for Manchester City against Chelsea. Here's Ryan Gravenberch back to halfway for Ibrahima Konate. Plays it into the centre circle for Virgil van Dijk, who's got options left and right. Elects to play a short pass forward to Luis Diaz. Elliott's going to be on sooner rather than later for Liverpool for their first change of the afternoon. Alexander-Arnold teases it down the right-hand side of the penalty area for Salah, but he doesn't get the drop on the defender on this occasion, but he has it again, tries to roll it in field for Konate, showed too much of that to Jadon Philogene. Philogene trying to get away down the left-hand side, but back comes Mo Salah. He made it look like Jadon Philogene was running through treacle the way he got back at him and stole the ball. And it will be a double change for Liverpool. Elliott and Darwin Nunez, Troy Deeney's favourite, coming on for Cody Gakpo and Dominic Szoboszlai. I'm pulling your leg, but I know you want.
No, I'm a
Nunez
big fan. I'm a big fan. I think there's something in there. I really do. I think if he could just calm down in front of goal, he'll be all right.
Cross from Alexander Armstrong. There's number 4 for Liverpool. Cody Gakpo gets his second of the game. The cross from Alexander-Arnold was just begging to be headed home, and inside the 6-yard box, right in front, Cody Gakpo duly obliged. And Ipswich are having another sorry day in the Premier League. Conceded 6 last weekend at home. They've now conceded 4 at Anfield, and there's still plenty of time to go. And Darwin Nunez licking his lips, ready on the touchline to come on as a change for the Reds. But Gakpo is now on a hat-trick as it's Liverpool 4, Ipswich 0.
You just said Gakpo's coming off, didn't you? That's going to be his last bit of involvement. But again, I said it earlier in the first half, when you see Trent Alexander-Arnold playing like this, you're willing to pay hundreds of pounds just to come and watch this game. Honestly, the ball gets played out to him, he's 20-25 yards out on the right-hand side, and he just puts it into a lovely area inside the penalty area, just beyond the penalty spot between the back line and the goalkeeper, and says, please, go and head me. And Gakpo decides to go and head me.
There's a possible offside being checked by VAR. It didn't appear offside, it looks onside to me. Jacob Greaves is definitely playing the player onside from the cross. There is no way they're going to give this as offside. The VAR checking goal picture has come up on the video screens here. Meanwhile, let's check in at Molineux, because of course with this scoreline, Liverpool comfortably ahead. Arsenal have got to try and keep pace. Last time we were there, they were down to 10 men but still goalless. Here's Adam Bridge.
Yeah, it's still that way. Wolves 0, Arsenal 0, and Wolves, it took an hour to get their first shot on target from Hwang. They've now had a couple. That one was saved by Raya at the second attempt, and then Cunha with a almost slow motion effort that looked like it was floating into the top corner. Raya tipped it round, and then from the resultant corner the ball fell to Cunha again 8 yards out, and he bounced one just wide of the left hand upright. Havertz has flicked a header goalwards up the other end, but that was just over the crossbar. 23 minutes to go here. Wolves 0, Arsenal 0.
So Wataru Endo is also going to come on for Ryan Gravenberch. It's a triple change in actual fact for Liverpool. So Nunez, Elliott and Endo are coming on. Szoboszlai, Gakpo and Gravenberch are coming off. It is a goal for Liverpool. It is 4-0, although it only still says 3-0 on the Jumbotron screens here. Triple change made. Let's check in at the vitality whilst we're waiting for play to restart here. Talk Sport Ian Abrahams.
19 minutes to go still. Bournemouth 3, Forest 0. Clive at the first half, 2 from Ouattara in the second half, and Bournemouth nearly had a fourth. I thought they might have had a fourth. Semenyo rampaging forward down the left hand side and played it across, but in the end the shot was blocked and the chance went away. Bournemouth 3, Forest 0.
And let's update you from St Mary's on Talksport with Alex Crook.
18 minutes to play here. It's still Southampton 1, Newcastle 3. Newcastle almost had a fourth goal. Joe Linton denied by a brilliant block inside the penalty area. It was a move that started on the halfway line with Joe Linton. It would have been quite some goal, but he was denied
side. Southampton 1, Newcastle 3. Van Dijk for Liverpool, leading by 4-0 now on TalkSport. Feeds it into Alexander-Arnold, shaped to shoot from 35 yards out, but then played it out to the right-hand side for Mo Salah. Elliott gets his first touch, floats a long ball out to the left-hand side. Brought down on that left-hand side. Knocked in field, and Konate will now pick it up 30 yards out. He might have thought about shooting for goal there. Instead, Alexander-Arnold has it, gives it back in field to Harvey Elliott. Elliott with a diagonal ball up to the far post, beyond Luis Diaz and behind for a goal kick. Let's check in on TalkSport at the Amex Stadium in the Premier League. Alfie Reynolds.
Brighton 0, Everton 1. It is all Brighton in this second half. Attack against defence, and Ruta with an excellent chance just a moment ago. His shot going narrowly wide. Everton defending resolutely as they try and hold on to the lead, which came from Ndai's first half penalty. It's Brighton 0, Everton 1.
The championship goal has gone in at the Stadium of Light. Graham Courtney.
Yeah, complete turnaround. Sunderland 2, Plymouth Argyle 1. Ball played into the Argyle 6-yard box, and there was Trey Hume with the ball bouncing around, stabbed it in from close range. Sunderland 2, Plymouth Argyle 1.
So Sunderland have turned it around in the championship. Red card at Molyneux, another one. Adam Bridge.
Yeah, Wolves now down to 10 men. Wolves 0, Arsenal 0. Both sides with 10 then. João Gomez was booked early on in this game, and he's just got a second yellow card for a foul at the edge of the penalty area. Michael Oliver, no hesitation, 2 yellows brandished, and João Gomez is on his way. We've just got over 20 minutes left here. It's now 10 aside. Wolves 0, Arsenal 0.
Wigan 2, Bristol Rovers 0 in League One. Johnny Smith. And in the Championship, Sheffield Wednesday lead at inform QPR by 1-0. QPR won their last 4 in the Championship, and the Owls with no one in 4 lead through Michael Smith at Loftus Road. Hearts 3, Kilmarnock 2 in Scotland. In the cricket at the moment, live on TalkSport 2, it's the second T20 International in Chennai, and it's India 119 for 6, so they need 47 runs to win with 6 overs remaining against England. Ball by ball coverage of that over on TalkSport 2 right now. And don't forget, tomorrow the NFL, AFC and NFC Championship games to decide who goes to the Super Bowl in New Orleans. You've got the Commanders at the Eagles and the Bills at the Chiefs, and our coverage starts from 7 p.m. tomorrow night on TalkSport 2. Cardiff 2, Derby County 1. Lars Jørgen Salvesen gets a goal back for Derby, and a goal in the Championship elsewhere. This is gone in at Ashton Gate. Lawrence Mora.
Bristol City 2, Blackburn 1. Naki Wells off the bench to score and put City back in front. Really good left-footed finish, although you are wondering about the goalkeeper. It's beaten him at his near post. Bristol City 2, Blackburn 1.
Liverpool 4, Ipswich 0 here at Anfield with 20 minutes to go. Rare foray forward for Ipswich. Delap tried to combine with Philogene, but again, that pure thoroughbred that is Trent Alexander-Arnold quickly goal side to snuff out any potential danger. So as you've just heard from Adam, 1 red card apiece at Molyneux, 0-0 between Wolves and Arsenal. Newcastle 3-1 up at Southampton, Everton 1-0 up at Brighton, and Bournemouth 3-0 up against Nottingham Forest at the Vitality. Coventry have got a second against Watford, 2-0 they lead, and it's Victor Torp again. 2 for him and 2 for the Sky Blues. And Troy Deeney just sinks into his coat that little bit more.
Frustrating, mate. It's you can't have the build-up of a week that they've had and expect to have a decent performance. Not that they've been great over the last couple of weeks anyway, but with all of this distraction, then expect to go and deliver a performance when everyone thinks that the manager's getting sacked.
1 win in 7 for the Hornets. 03717223344. Get your calls into Jamie O'Hara and Jermaine Pennant with the game day phone in at 5:30 on TalkSport. The score here, Liverpool 4, Ipswich 0. For the latest odds, just head to Betfair, the official betting partner of TalkSport's Premier League coverage, where right now I'm not going to give you odds on Liverpool to win because they're not offering any. Darwin Nunez to score the next goal at 7-2. Liverpool to win 5-0 is priced at 15-8, and an Ipswich win, well, I'll give it to you, 500-1 if you fancy it. That's all thanks to Betfair, who are paying out winning bets at 90 minutes with 90 minutes guarantee. Terms and conditions apply. 18 plus. BeGambleAware.org. Ian Danter and Troy Deeney with you at Anfield, where Liverpool have won a corner at the Kop end, down to our right hand side, and Andy Robertson's gone across to where the Kop meets the main stand to strike it in. Takes it short to Luis Diaz, who's joined him, but the corner kick, maybe the ball was rolling or it was outside the quadrant because the assistant had a problem with it, and so it has to be spotted again by Robertson, who now will step back from it. Looks like he's not going to use the short corner option this time of Diaz, who looks like he's drifting into the penalty area now. He is. In it comes from Robertson, into the near post, headed out by Liam Delap, comes out to Alexander-Arnold, who brings the ball down in the centre of the half. He's going to go for goal, and he wasn't far off. Walton was flying to his right-hand side, and that whistled past the angle of post and bar. Stays 4-0 here, but the breakthrough has happened at Molineux. Adam Bridge.
Wolves 0, Arsenal 1. Calafiori, the half-time substitute, came on following that red card to Miles Lewis Skelly, and a left-footed ball has come through to him in the penalty. It was half cleared by Wolves, and left-footed, he's poked it home from about 10 yards out. It was a good cross from Martinelli, but Calafiori's done really well with a finish. Just over 15 minutes left here. Wolves 0, Arsenal 1.
It's a big, big goal at Molineux for Arsenal. 10 men against 10 men in that game. There's going to be changes afoot for Ipswich. We're going to see Julio Enciso making his Ipswich debut in a moment. We're also going to see Nathan Broadhead coming on, and possibly George Hurst as well for a triple change for Kieran McKenna, just to get some fresh legs out there, I guess, Troy.
Also try and blood in the new recruit as well, get him to see what he wants him to do, see where his fitness levels are at. I actually think if you was to ask Arnie Slot about a day, this would be perfect. Probably another 5 minutes or so, and then stick the likes of Dan's and a few of the others, Chiesa, get them some minutes. It's a 4-0 win, clean sheet. It's perfect for them.
And here's Van Dijk, who's been strolling around all afternoon with barely a care in the world, it seems.
He won't need a shower, will he? He can just go straight home.
He certainly hasn't got his kit dirty. He hasn't needed to. Salah, right-hand side for Liverpool as they attack the Kop end in this second half. Now it's Harvey Elliott joining him on this near side. Infield it goes to Alexander-Arnold, and across to the aforementioned Van Dijk. Cheltenham 2, Salford 0 in League 2. Jordan Thomas with a second for the Robins. Now Alexis McAllister just taking the game down to walking pace. And again, Ipswich have just got all their outfield players in and around their own 18-yard box. Liverpool looking to cut through them with an incisive pass. And it's Van Dijk floating it out to Harvey Elliott, right-hand corner of the penalty area. Infield to Alexander-Arnold, early ball into the area. Walton's dropped it, but there was Twanzebe just in front of him to clear it away. Goal at Deepdale in the Championship. Here's Matt Jones.
Didn't see this coming. Preston 2, Middlesbrough 1, and it's Emil Rees who's got it. He came on about 10 minutes ago. The substitution was booed because Osmajic was the man who came off. Well, he's shown Paul Heckenbottom what he can do. Turns in the box, fires into the bottom corner. Preston 2, Middlesbrough 1.
4 unbeaten going into today, Preston. Shouldn't forget that, even though Middlesbrough are back in form, having won their first in 4 last time out. Paul Heckenbottom doing a pretty solid job, it seems, so far at Deepdale. Here, Liverpool more than solid against Ipswich. 4-0 up with that triple change coming up for the visitors in just a moment. But meantime, Van Dijk in the centre of the Ipswich half. There's options left or right. Elects to go to his immediate right, and Harvey Elliott. Now Salah in possession down the right-hand side of the box. Gets away from Townsend into the area. Plenty to pull it back to. Endo leaves it for Alexander-Arnold, who hits the angle of post and bar as he swung his right foot at it. And it stays out, and it stays just 4-0.
Unbelievable. Honestly, I can't speak highly enough of Trent today. But for Mo Salah, he's got, doesn't matter if it's Leif Davis or if it's Townsend who they bring on, he's just got them on toast. He's just running at them, running past them. In this situation, he actually just ran through Townsend, gets to the byline, cuts it back to Endo, who has a little touch just to allow Trent to come onto it. Lovely ball again, hits the right top angle, bar and post. He deserves a goal.
Liverpool 4-0 up. Diaz trying to ram the ball into the penalty area, but Ipswich had enough players back. Well, they had everybody back. Coventry 2, Watford 1. Watford get a goal back with an own goal from Liam Kitching. So Arsenal lead, Liverpool lead, but Forest losing at the Vitality as this triple change comes up. Let's check in on the South Coast at the Vitality with TalkSport's Ian Abrahams.
Bournemouth 3, Forest 0, 10 to play. We've just seen Kepa make a really good save from Elanga. More one for the cameras, but he did well to keep it out. Forest, though, look, a beaten force here and have taken off Gibbs White. Bournemouth 3, Forest 0.
So whilst the changes are happening, Philogene come off to allow Broadhead to come on. Let's check in at Molineux once again with TalkSport's Adam Bridge.
Wolves 0, Arsenal 1 since Calafiori's goal. It's domination now from Arsenal, a change from Wolves. Bellegarde has come on to try and offer a little bit more from them, but Wolves struggling to just get a touch on the ball at the moment. Arsenal keeping it very well, moving it really nicely. Remember, it's 10 against 10 here. Just a quick note on that second yellow for Gomez. It really could have been a red card in its own right. It was worse than what Lewis Skelly got sent off for. It remains Wolves 0, Arsenal 1.
And we'll check in on the south coast elsewhere at St Mary's. Alex Crook.
83 minutes played here. Southampton 1, Newcastle 3. Alexander Isak at the double in the first half. There won't be a hat-trick this afternoon. He's just been replaced by Joe Willock, much to relief, I would imagine, of a battered and bruised Southampton defence. Yet another defeat for the home side. It's Southampton 1, Newcastle 3.
So the Ipswich changes. Broadhead and Ciso there on. Jaden Philogene has gone off. So too is Amari Hutchinson. Liam Delap has also gone off to allow George Hurst to come on. And Liverpool, well, Troy Dean is a bit of the soothsayer. He called it. Jaden Dans, son of Neil Dans, former Birmingham and Colchester footballer, now a coach in his own right. And Jaden's come on to replace Alexis McAllister, as Lincoln go 5-1 up against Peterborough. And the ball's absolutely rifled back to Christian Walton by Calvin Phillips in the Ipswich goal, but he dealt with it well enough. And then really strong challenge from Julio Enciso. His first involvement in the game is to go right studs up in the centre circle. Was that Wataru Endo who he caught in the chest? Not a nice challenge. Endo has stayed down, and referee Michael Salisbury's got a decision to make here about just how reckless that challenge was from the Ipswich substitute.
Just showing the replay there, he could be off, you know. As the Konate's just chested it, as he's coming into Endo, he's bouncing, and Ciso goes and he kicks him in the chest, but he actually knees him in the face. And I actually think he could be off here. VAR could get involved and get him to have another look at this.
Well, it appears that he has escaped a red. Meantime, another goal at St Mary's. Alex Crook.
And maybe it's not game over. Southampton 2, Newcastle 3. This is an absolute gift. It was a long punt upfield and a really poor header back towards his own goal from Fabian Schär. Latching onto it was Matias Fernandez, and it's a really good finish from him beyond Dubravka. Southampton 2, Newcastle 3.
It was just a yellow card for Enciso back here at Anfield, where Liverpool are 4-0 up on Ipswich. Play yet to restart with Endo still getting treatment, so let's check back in on TalkSport Game Day Live at the Amex Stadium. Alfie Reynolds.
Brighton 0, Everton 1. Can Everton hold on? Minte and Hinchelwood, the latest replacements for the home side, who are searching for an equaliser. They've been much better in the second half. Some opportunities, but they haven't found the back of the net. Matoma, João Pedro and Ruta, all with good efforts, but they didn't force a save from Pickford. 9 minutes to go. Brighton 0, Everton 1.
So in the Premier League this Saturday afternoon on Game Day, Bournemouth 3-0 up on Forest. You just heard Everton still lead Brighton by a goal to nil. Liverpool 4-0 up in our commentary game here against Ipswich. Newcastle 3-2 up on Southampton, and Arsenal 1 up at Wolves, both sides down to 10 men. Man City kick off against Chelsea at 5:30, and regular updates on that game into the Game Day phone-in with Jamie O'Hara and Jermaine Pennant. Back underway. Doncaster have taken the lead against Harrogate in League 2. Just one defeat and 5 for Donny, and Harry Clifton's given them the lead. Darwin Nunez for Liverpool, getting down the right hand side, got the cross in, but it was well dealt with at the back by Dara O'Shea. Ipswich trying to bring it clear. In steps Jaden Dans, and it breaks for Luis Diaz, who knocks it back for Robertson. Infield for Endo, who's none the worse for wear, having had treatment after being thumped into by Enciso with that early challenge from the new Ipswich loanee. Van Dijk just over the halfway line. 8 minutes to go on TalkSport. Finds Konate. 4-0 Ipswich are trailing by here, and they're just hanging on and waiting for the full-time whistle, are Ipswich Town, and hoping that it doesn't get any worse. They're at home to Southampton next, which you would suggest is a far more important game for their immediate future. There's more changes coming up for Liverpool. Federico Chiesa going to be on in a minute. Meantime, here is Endo playing the ball into Nunez at the edge of the area. Salah, quick feet from him, but it's won back by Nathan Broadhead, who can bring it clear. Goals as they're ruled out again. Let's get back to St Mary's. Alex Crook.
Yeah, it's back to Southampton 1, Newcastle 3, and I did Fabian Schär a bit of a disservice actually. He pulls out of the header at the last minute because he must get a shout to tell him that Mateus Fernandes is in an offside position, so it's quite brilliant for the Newcastle centre-back. The goal is ruled out and it's still Southampton 1, Newcastle 3.
Ball flicked into the area from Liverpool, and Ipswich managed to get the ball clear. Comes out though to Alexander-Arnold. Dans lays it back to Alexander-Arnold, just dinks it back into the area first time. Side of his right boot, so nearly came off. Trent is having one of those afternoons in a Liverpool shirt. Bournemouth have had one of those afternoons so far. They got another at the Vitality. Ian Abrahams.
Bournemouth 4, Nottingham Forest 0. Tavernier from distance with a shot, literally patted down by Matt Sells. Goodness knows what he was doing. Put it out of play. Even Troy Deeney now, having been retired for a couple of years, would have snapped this up. Daniel Ouattara did. He has his first Bournemouth hat-trick. It's Bournemouth 4, Forest 0.
Crossing from the left for Ipswich, and a header from Delat's kept out by Allison. A rare foray forward for Ipswich Town. The cross came in from the left-hand side, stooping header. It was Enciso that got the header in, but it was blocked by not by Enciso, sorry, by George Hurst, who's coming in. But Allison, first thing he's had to do all afternoon, and he kept out the header.
Didn't even see that coming. It was just like Liverpool were waiting. Liverpool got a little bit lazy.
Diaz now down the left-hand side of the area at the other end of the pitch. Wins a corner off Twanzebe. QPR 0, Sheffield Wednesday 2. Callum Patterson looks to have sealed all 3 points for Sheffield Wednesday down at Loftus Road. You're listening to Liverpool Ipswich on TalkSport with Enterprise Rent-A-Car. Whatever the mission, home or away, Enterprise helps over 120,000 people every day. And Federico Chiesa is coming on for Liverpool. Just looking to see who's going off.
Diaz.
It is Luis Diaz who's walking behind the goal. He was just obscured from my vision, walking behind the netting at the Kop end. So Chiesa, there's been some talk of him leaving Anfield in this window because he's not really had that many appearances since joining in the summer. But he's in the box for this corner. Swung in by Robertson. Van Dijk goes up for a header, heads it up in the air high and over the crossbar for an Ipswich goal kick. Fleetwood 1, Carlisle 2. Sam Lavelle puts Cardiff in front at Highbury. Just 1 in 10 for Carlisle, but they look to be heading for 3 points there this afternoon. Ipswich with a ball inside their own penalty area. Phillips swings it out to the left-hand side for Connor Townsend. Immediately set upon by Wataru Endo, but Phillips will play a neat ball into the path of Nathan Broadhead. Broadhead will strike the ball out to the right-hand side and Twanzebe. Now Ben Johnson infield for Enciso. Now he just lays it back to the captain Morsey. Phillips, better football from Ipswich Town with 4 minutes to go as they hold on to the ball for the first time, really getting a string of passes together. Troy Deeney.
Yeah, it looks like the changes for Liverpool have left them a little bit disjointed.
But here's Darwin Nunez caught by Calvin Phillips just ahead of the centre circle as you're trying to wriggle clear. St Johnstone 2, Motherwell 1 in Scotland. Remember, you get a full classified check from Adrian Durham just after 5 p.m. here on TalkSport this afternoon. Liverpool 4-0 up on Ipswich here on Game Day Live. Oh, there's another goal at the Vitality. Let's get back there straight away. And Ian Abrahams.
Bournemouth 5, Forest 0. Bournemouth have gone mad. They've gone absolutely goal-scoring mad. Antoine Semenyo this time, left-hand side onto his right foot, curling into the far corner. Nuno can't wait for his birthday to end, and it's match to finish. It's Bournemouth 5, Forest 0.
Bournemouth up into 6th as things stand in the Premier League table. Meantime, another goal at the Stadium of Light in the Championship. TalkSport's Graham Courtney.
Into time added on, but it's all square here. Sunderland 2, Plymouth Argyle 2, and it's the substitute that has come on, Nathaniel Ogbeta, from 6 yards out. And you know what? It's one of those where the keeper will be looking at that one. He got it all wrong. It's all square. Sunderland 2, Plymouth Argyle 2.
4-0 here to Liverpool. Ball played up to Enciso, who is fouled by Endo, and Ipswich get a rare free kick. In League One, Barnsley have conceded late on at home to Stevenage. Stevenage Borough won their last 2 against Barnsley, actually, and Dan Kemp looks to have won it again for Stevenage at Oakwell this afternoon. So Bournemouth 5-0 up on Nottingham Forest, who will stay in 3rd. So Newcastle up into 4th by virtue of the win they're getting at Southampton, as you've heard from Alex Crook this afternoon. Liverpool and Arsenal both winning, and we're going to get 5 minutes of additional time once we get to the end of the 90 here. Let's quickly check in at Molineux, see how Arsenal are doing. Are they hanging on to that 1-goal lead? Here's Adam Bridge.
They are a little bit. Wolves 0, Arsenal 1, 90 seconds of normal time to play. Aït-Nouri, who's just been substituted, he brought the ball down after a long punt forward, got to the edge of the box, fired a shot, Raya with a save, and then Raya also called into action to deny Mateus Cunha from the edge of the penalty area as well. Wolves are probing, desperately trying to find that equaliser. Remember, it's 10 against 10 here, and it's Wolves 0, Arsenal 1.
Corner to Ipswich that Enciso's going to take in front of the travelling contingent down to our left in the Anfield Road stand. Right-footed in-swinger to come from Enciso, who raises both his arms in the air, swirls in the cross, right in front of goal, and it's in! Great header from Jacob Greaves, a consolation goal, cheered by the Ipswich fans like they've just won the whole shooting match. It's Liverpool 4, Ipswich 1.
What a ball from Enciso, by the way, from the corner. If Trent would have done that, we'd be waxing lyrical about it. Low, flat, right across the edge of the 6-yard box, straight into an area. Just watching Virgil van Dijk losing his head at everybody here, but it's a great ball into the box. 2 players missed the header. It looks like Konate and Virgil to an extent missed the header. It's a great header from Greaves, and it's great for these travelling fans down to our left-hand side. Scarves going everywhere. This is what the Premier League's all about. Well done to Ipswich. Too little too late though.
Well, you never know what goal difference might mean come the end of the season. They've got one back, Ipswich Town, and remember, because Wolves are losing at home to Arsenal, means both of those teams will stay on 16 points either side of the dotted line in the drop zone. I think Portsmouth have got a late goal at West Brom. We'll check on that in a moment for a consolation there, but Ipswich have a consolation here as we move into those 5 minutes of added time. Liverpool 4, Ipswich 1, and the 5 minutes of stoppage time have begun. And Liverpool's perfect days no more, Troy Deeney, having conceded late on.
No, and that's more of a worry for the rest of the Premier League now, because they're going to be a little bit annoyed about that, so they're probably going to have to debrief and go again properly. But I think when you look at this Liverpool team, the changes have shown that they have to keep a lot of these guys fit and able, because once they change, they just look a little bit more disjointed, especially in the middle of the park. So for the rest of the Premier League, this is one of those games when you're thinking, this isn't good that Ipswich scored.
Must be stoppage time at the Amex as Everton look to be hanging on there. Talk Sports, Alfie Reynolds.
We're into 8 minutes added time. Brighton 0, Everton 1. As things stand at the moment, Iliman and Dyer's first half penalty will make it back-to-back wins for David Moyes' side, but they've sat back. They've had to soak up all sorts of pressure in this second half. Brighton pushing forward. They've had lots of the ball. They just haven't been able to find the back of the net. Brighton 0, Everton 1.
India need 13 runs from 2 overs remaining in the T20 International in Chennai. Live commentary on TalkSport 2 right now at the conclusion of that. 13 off 12 balls required. Ipswich need snookers. 91 gone. Ipswich 4-1 down. Now it's 13 to win from 1.5 overs with 8 wickets down. 153 for 8. Chasing 166 to win. Portsmouth did get a goal back at West Brom. 5-1. Tommy Waddingham with a goal for Pompey, who were next in action live on TalkSport 2 on Tuesday night at home to Millwall. And don't forget, the Champions League and the Europa League conclude Wednesday and Thursday. And Wednesday night we're offering you Aston Villa against Celtic on TalkSport and Manchester City against Club Brugge on TalkSport 2. Plenty riding on that City game. And full-time whistle's gone at St Mary's. Southampton 1, Newcastle 3. We'll get a full-time report from Alex Crook in just a bit, but that's more like it from Newcastle after they were humbled at home by Bournemouth last weekend. But Bournemouth have just been dishing out the goals to Nottingham Forest this afternoon as well, going 6th in the Premier League. But Liverpool are staying top, but not going any further clear by virtue of Arsenal hanging on to that 1-goal scoreline at Wolverhampton Wanderers. 4-1 they lead, and Ipswich in possession inside their own half, and Greaves, the goal scorer, feeds it out to the left hand side, and George Hurst now down the left hand side of the area, just rolls it back in field for Broadhead riding the challenge of Federico Chiesa, plays the ball across the face of goal. Van Dijk has to turn it behind for a corner, and another verbal volley from the Liverpool captain to his fellow defenders. 4-1 Liverpool.
He's just letting everybody know that, look, this is about concentration. Gone past Trent, gone past Konate, gone past Harvey Elliott like they weren't there. He's not happy. Enciso's
last corner from this position got the consolation goal. Again, he's raised both arms in the air, the Ipswich substitute. In it comes right-footed, rolls it short to the edge of the area. He gets it back from a short pass, feints the cross with his right, checks. Now he sends it, another brilliant cross, headed over the bar. Ben Johnson, big chance, but the offside flag went up anyway against Ben Johnson. Charlton look to have won it against Shrewsbury late on Thierry Small, making it Charlton 1, Shrewsbury 0. Check it again quickly at Molineux, Adam Bridge.
Wolves 0, Arsenal 1, about 60 seconds of added time to play. Tierney's come on for Martinelli as Arteta looks to try and close this game down and deny Wolves an equalising goal that they continue to push for. Wolves 0, Arsenal 1.
So Liverpool and Arsenal winning. Newcastle have won. Chelsea in 5th will be underway against Manchester City at the Etihad within the next half an hour or so, and regular updates of that Premier League encounter during the course of the game day phone-in with Jamie O'Hara and Jermaine Pennant. Liverpool fans, get your calls in to Jermaine, your former player, 03717 223344, about another swaggering performance from Liverpool, and in particular from Trent Alexander-Arnold, and it just puts a full stop and highlights how daft it is that this could be the last knockings of Trent Alexander-Arnold in a red Liverpool shirt.
Yeah, absolutely, and there you go.
The full-time whistle goes. Liverpool march on towards this potential 20th league title. 18 games unbeaten in the Premier League, and they soar off Ipswich without really breaking much of a sweat. 3-0 up at half-time. They made it 4 when Cody Gakpo got his second of the afternoon with a header in close range from an absolutely sumptuous Trent Alexander-Arnold cross. He was outstanding for Liverpool today down their right-hand side. Mo Salah got his customary goal. Szoboszlai also on the mark. Jacob Greaves got a late consolation back for Ipswich Town, who stay in the bottom 3. But Liverpool are still setting the standard at the top of the Premier League for others to try and follow. Full time at Anfield, Liverpool 4, Ipswich Town 1.
Well, more from Troy Deeney to come shortly. Liverpool stay top of the table, of course. Bournemouth have beaten Forest 5-0 here. We'll round this up shortly, but it's all over at Molineux. Perry Groves and Adam Bridge.
It is full time here. Wolves 0, Arsenal 1. I'm just watching Mikel Arteta give a real side eye to Michael Oliver on the Molineux turf ahead of us. A game that really had it all. There was chances for both sides early on in the first half. Good chances that they wasted, but the game sprung to life just before half time, 2 minutes before the break. It was an Arsenal corner on the far side. Rice's delivery was poor. They have been all game, considering Wolves have conceded 19 from corners this season, but it was half cleared. Doherty was breaking away from the edge of the penalty area, and then Miles Lewis-Skelly tripped him up, and in the eyes of the referee Michael Oliver, it was serious foul play. It was confirmed by VAR. He received a red card. I don't think there's anyone in this ground that thinks that was a red card. The half-time introduction of Calafiori, it did pay off for Arsenal eventually, but not until Wolves were reduced to 10 men. João Gomez picked up a yellow in the opening 45 minutes for delaying the restart, and then a second yellow card was shown at the edge of the penalty area. It was a terrible over the ball challenge that should have been a red in itself, but it was a second yellow for Gomez. That came on 70 minutes, and just 4 minutes later the ball's crossed in from Martinelli down the right hand side. It's only half cleared by Semedo, and it falls to Calafiori, who